Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
Put the children to bed. It's time for Dan and Aldo to bare their souls.
I love the Chicago Bears more than I do masturbating, and that is a lot.
Then, with 3 seconds left, Bob Avellini throws a 30-something yard touchdown pass to Greg Latta, and the Bears win, and I literally shit my pants. I swear to God, I literally did.
Eric Kramer, for me, I love the guy. He's a tragic figure. I mean, he embodies all that is.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well. Not for a guy of his caliber.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
So, Dan, tape is the ultimate tool for scouts and for coaches to evaluate players, to detect plays and so forth. And they spend hours looking at tape, right? Why do they so often get shit wrong?
I love the efficiency of bourbon.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan and Aldo.
A subdued intro.
Yeah.
A subdued intro from Aldo Gandia.
I smoked some marijuana.
Oh. That always makes you a little bit different there, right?
Yes.
Well, how do you feel about this trade, man? Let's just jump right into it.
Hold on a second. Before we do that, I want you to respond to this. Actually, I want you to do some acting for me. Renewable says the intro music sounds like we're going to church in the hood. So I'm turning it over now to preacher Danny Aguirre. Take it away.
No, that's Lawrence Holmes that can do that, not me. If you've heard Lawrence do the bit on air where he's talking to the congregation about the Bears, he's so good at it, I would be a pretender. But I can see that. It does kind of have like a church feel to it. And maybe this is for I don't want to compare God to the Bears. I don't want to disrespect anyone who's religious, but maybe for us in a lot of ways, this is kind of a small religion for us, the Bears.
Well, it definitely is. I mean, total up all my times at Catholic school and at church, I've probably devoted more time to the Bears, like probably 10 times the amount of time. Did you ever go to church when you were a kid?
Yeah. First, they tried to start me in like Protestant, and then because again, my mom was Protestant, my dad was Catholic. So then I tried some Catholicism, and then I think at 9, I was like, "Can I please just not go to either?" And they were cool with it. They didn't like it, but they were cool that I just wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, I stopped going when I was around 12 years old. My mom and my stepfather would send me off every Sunday morning with my brother to church. But they never got up out of bed. They just said, hey, there's some banana on the counter, and then go, and here's $1 to put in the thing and stuff. So after a while, I'm like, well, why am I going and they're not going? This doesn't seem fair. So my brother and I would go play basketball and then come back with our Sunday church clothes all sweated up and musty and stuff like that. So that church is maybe a little bit overrated when your parents aren't going along with you.
Yeah, my mom was always one of these Martin Luther kind of people. And I don't mean Martin Luther King. I mean the Protestant Reformation, sure. Martin Luther, where she felt like you had justification with your faith versus
someone telling you that you have to go and do this. And, because I think that's a small jab from her toward Catholics where you got to confess and stuff. I don't mean it that way. But the point is she didn't go to organized church and was a huge believer. And somehow my dad was cool with me not being a believer. So, yeah, there you go.
Well, all right, let's pretend we're in confession and tell me how you really feel about the Bears' two gigantic moves, moving Roquan Smith to the Baltimore Ravens for a couple of draft picks, and then acquiring this afternoon Chase Claypool from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Where's your head at?
First off, I reached out to my good friend Jason, who was born on Halloween just like myself, but he is now 44 and I'm 42. He, again, diehard Pittsburgh Steeler fan whom I've known since 1996. We met in school. And so I was like, yeah, what are your thoughts on this? What is your lowdown? Again, he's into the Steelers the way we are to the Bears. He said, the guy has not proven to be worthy of a second round pick. This is courtesy of my friend. He said a third. Okay. He's like, as a Steeler, I'm happy. I love the fact you give us a second round pick for him. He's got the capabilities, but he hasn't proven anything. He said he had to touch his 10 touchdowns or something his rookie year, but hasn't really done much. But he's got possibilities of being a number one. He says, I see him more of as a number two. But this is just for my friend. Because it's not like I knew so much about him before. On paper, I like the trade because it should give someone, even if he's a number two in Pittsburgh, it gives us maybe a number one here. Although we tried Marcus Wheaton and Santonio Holmes from Pittsburgh, and both of those were failures. But this guy's young, though, right? He's like 24.
24, correct.
He's got one more year in his deal, and we've got money to give him if he earns it. Like, if he wants a big contract, come get it, man. Come make us pay you. And to answer the question in totality, yesterday I was a little bit upset over the Roquan trade, not so much because I'm like this huge Roquan backer, but I just, after Sunday's performance at the D, I was like, is it just going to be like this the rest of the year since we traded him? Because I feel like even at 3-5, the Bears are somewhat in it. And Justin's getting better. The offense is getting better. If the defense can just not fall off a cliff, we can win some games. So yesterday I felt really down, but today we can make the argument that it was kind of like Roquan for the receiver Chase and a 5th round pick, even though it's not exactly how it turned out. But if you told me that on Sunday, we were trading Roquan for a potential number one, and we're getting a 5th round pick back, I would say that's probably a good trade. So maybe I'm happy today.
I'm glad that you are. I think you should be, because after we played these clips from Ryan Poles, the Bears general manager, who met with the media about 4 hours ago, and he explained what was the thinking behind the moving of Roquan Smith and the thinking behind the acquisition of Chase Claypool. I think we're gonna feel better. I really do believe it. I mean, some of it you got to have that revival meeting feeling and believe in the Reverend Ryan Poles, because he's got a vision. He's got a vision, and he still wants to win, and he will not. I don't think that trade for the Chase Claypool thing told me one thing: they're not tanking. They're definitely not tanking.
And maybe they believe in Justin now.
Yes. And first and foremost, what they want to do is put together a great roster. And if in the process of putting together that great roster, a roster that can be sustained for several years, if in the process of doing that, they sneak into the playoffs in 2022, his rookie season, Ryan Poles will be very happy. And I will be very happy. And Dan will be the happiest of all of us.
Do you think maybe, and there's no way to really know this, but I'm getting you to put on your know all, tell all cap here. Do you think maybe they just didn't like Roquan? I don't mean on the field, but like with all the drama and like representing himself and, that press conference thing from last week when he's like, I need a second for a second, and then start crying. And then the thing he demanding a trade in the summer. Do you think maybe Ryan Poles was like, I just don't like this guy personally, and let's just move him?
I think that I asked Greg Gabriel that, and he said he didn't think that was the case, but I believe that it is. And when I asked Greg Gabriel that question, and he responded he had not heard the press conference yet because it had not happened. Let's listen to Poles being asked about Roquan Smith and what was behind it?
There's a part of me that's bummed because this was a guy that I thought was going to be here for a long time. I felt like we put a lot of effort forward to get that done. We came up short and we couldn't find common ground, and that's just a part of this business, which I think we all understand.
How do you detail, I guess for us, but also for your leaders when you meet with them, why a guy that you believe so strongly in is no longer part of your championship vision in Roquan?
Because of what we just mentioned in terms of not being able to find common ground to continue to move forward. There is, the reality of it is you have to ask yourself a question, are we ever going to find that middle ground? And from our previous conversations, you gather that information, and it felt like it was highly unlikely. So then, are you able to then take the opportunity to enhance your roster now, or are you okay with the chance that he walks away and we can't use some of that to enhance our roster? And that's what it came down to, and I felt like we had to move forward at that time.
Let me add another quickie, Dan, before you respond. Poles was asked, was Roquan fitting in? Was he basically a good player? And then there was a follow-up that is important.
I don't think I've ever sat up here and said he's not a really good football player. But to have a long-term agreement, there has to be a common ground on what that looks like to make him a long-term player.
Was it difficult for you that he did not have an agent?
It does make the process harder.
I think that all says a lot. Not having an agent and having, when you're in negotiations, shit's going to come up. Hey, you fucked up here when you did this. Hey, you fucked up here and he's on the defensive as the player. He's got to listen to all this stuff. What's he going to say? Well, you didn't draft you weren't here. He has no defense. He really needed an agent. And I think that was part of the reason why Roquan is now a goner.
Yeah, in one regard, it makes me unhappy because, like I said last night to Bears Country here on the Border Network, for years you keep hearing that the Bears don't draft well and that you have to build through the draft. And this was our guy, a first-round pick in 2018. So if we're going to build and win through the draft, then we should be building with our first-round picks. So in that regard, I hate to see him go. But to be honest, it always felt like he was a little bit inconsistent. I'm not trying to kick him. I wasn't like, oh, we got to trade him, but it felt like you had a great game against the Texans, a great game against New England, and the rest of the games he's kind of been invisible. And he had the Urlacher thing where it was hard for him to fight off blocks. So I don't know if he's going to be worth like 24 and 25 million. I said this early in the year when everyone was saying he was a top 3 linebacker. I just didn't see it. But I'm not some football expert. As a fan, I didn't think that. So the fact you get this wide receiver, coupled with the fact, like you said, he's representing himself, it's easy to get defensive when you're representing yourself, for God's sake. Any other person would be. So he's like Tooch always says, he's kind of a head case.
Yeah. Well, and I do believe that Roquan could be worth being paid as one of the top weak side linebackers, because like Greg Gabriel has been saying and other people here at the bar room, that weak side linebacker position in this defense is super important. The 3-tech, that linebacker position and the slot corner or safety, I forget which the third player is, but those 3 positions are so effing valuable in this cover 2 type defense that they're running. So look at Roquan not having had a practice, not having had a real training camp, newly installed defense. He's learning it for the first time. He had some sensational games and leading the NFL in tackles. Now, that's not a great stat to have because that means, you're probably making some of them 10 yards past the line of scrimmage. But still, it's notable, that he's there, he's physical, he's a great sideline to sideline. You are absolutely right. The way to beat Roquan in the run game is run right at him. He cannot get off of blocks as like one of the great linebackers. But I thought, to me, the trading of Roquan is the most surprising thing of all, simply because the importance of that position. And so now you got to find somebody who can play that role, and that's not going to be easy. So
do you think this plays into Justin Fields a little bit in the sense that maybe if they don't feel like they have a quarterback that's theirs, like their franchise quarterback, maybe they hold on to Roquan more? Or do they feel like maybe Justin helps win them games without Roquan because he's ascending?
Yeah, I think it's a signal that they're all in on Justin Fields. Let's give up one of our highly prized draft picks. I mean, Poles loves draft picks like you love pussy. And like you like to eat pussy.
There you go.
So, for him to give that up for to get a wide receiver for Justin, I think speaks enormously that they like what they're seeing and they want to get all in on that. Now, they're not going to say that in press conferences. They're very, very careful with their words, and they should be, because anything can change. Starting against Miami, all of a sudden Justin Fields can just become a wreck and prove that he's not. But everything is pointing upwards right now with Justin Fields. Take a listen to what some of the national media said about this deal. This is so fucking funny. Colin Cowherd and whoever his new co-host is they don't know shit about the Bears. I had to cut out some of the more obvious things that were just stupidly ridiculous.
He probably thinks Lance Briggs is still with us, right?
I wouldn't doubt it. This is Colin Cowherd over at Fox Sports.
Is Chicago saying this? Okay, this GM didn't draft Justin Fields, and nor did this coach. So they're like, why wait until next year? Mm-hmm. Let's give him weapons now and watch the next 7, 8, 9, 10 games. And it's a good quarterback draft. Is Chicago saying, why wait? Let's go see what he is with Cole Kmet, Armstrong, Herbert, Mooney. So now Pettis can be a 3. That's what he is. He's not a 2. Yeah. Okay. So now this is very interesting to me. Are the Bears, the GM and the coach, saying, hey, we're seeing some things. Now we're going to throw a legitimate, strong number 2 receiver, Chase Claypool.
So, Colin, let me ask.
How about the Chicago Bears are growing up in front of our eyes?
Well, we're going to become Bears fans pretty soon, right? I mean, yeah. I'm loving this Justin Fields, but let me.
Dan, who the fuck is Armstrong?
That's what I was thinking. Who the fuck? Who was the last player? Trace Armstrong? Was he the last Armstrong that was a Bear?
That's right.
Going back to 94?
When he said, and then there was something else that he said earlier, maybe I cut it out, that I was like, what the fuck are these people talking about? But I think it does capture the national media's mood about the Chicago Bears right now. They're thinking, holy shit, Justin Fields has put on a show the last 2 or 3 weeks showing his potential. He still has a long way to go, but this guy's going to be potentially the franchise quarterback the Bears have never had. I mean, that good. And so I believe that's what's happening over at Hallis Hall. Ryan Poles is saying, okay, let's get him the weapons that he needs. And frankly, the offensive line has not played as bad. Now that Mustafa's back, right? Oh, Jesus.
But the 2 guys that you were kind of down on, though, and I was down on Mustafa, so I'm not trying to say, oh, this is all you, Aldo. But Schofield has looked okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
he surprised me. He surprised me.
I thought Riley Reif was okay in place of Larry Borum, who I don't know his condition with his concussion protocol. Mm-hmm. But frankly, from what I saw, he may have been an upgrade over Borum.
Yeah, Toreen says that Armstrong dude is a beast.
Yes, he is. Who do you think's playing time gets cut? Velus Jones had that big drop. That's where I would go. But you got Pringle that's supposed to be coming back. Harry just caught a touchdown. St. Brown has been consistent all year. Just the problem's been Justin finding him. He's been open on these shallow crosses and such. So somebody's playing time's got to come down. Maybe finally Pettis?
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of who I've been leaning to, but he is considered the second best route runner, maybe third best route runner. He's going to see playing time. I think they're going to divvy this up, and that's going to be the cool thing for the coaching staff is who's playing the best in practice. You guys will see the playing time. And so that creates better play. So I'm all for that. And then as you're rattling off these names of receivers on the Bears now, the Bears have some really big fast wide receivers now. It changed like almost overnight, it seems.
I didn't even mention Mooney yet. You know, he's not tall, but he's fast, and obviously Mooney's good.
I mean, he's still the number one in essence because Claypool is probably a 1A. I think that's how they're going to divvy things up. So you got Claypool, Equanimeous St. Brown, you got N'Keal Harry. I mean, those three guys alone are probably average 6'4", 215, and all three of them are pretty damn fast. So that's kind of I told Greg Gabriel today, to me, that means that you can forget about drafting a receiver in the first round, second round, maybe start looking in the third round because you got so many other obvious needs. Now we need a weak side linebacker. We need somebody to replace Quinn. We still need that 3-tech. The defensive backfield.
Offensive lineman, always.
Offensive lineman. So, you got a lot of other needs. You're going to have to address some in free agency, and you've got the money. So it's going to be interesting what this allows the team to do and also what it means to Justin because he's got some weapons now. All of a sudden, he's got weapons. Well, how does that happen?
I wish that they would have announced today that David Montgomery's received a 3-year extension. And like you said,
like them that much, huh?
They have the money. And, I'm afraid, like I told you Sunday, the more Khalil Herbert excels, I'm afraid that they view Montgomery's more of an expendable piece. I kept reading today, last night even, that they were saying that he was going to get traded to the Rams. So I'm so glad that didn't happen. Yeah, I do like him. I think he gives us all he's got, man. I mean, he had that fumble Sunday, but he's not a fumbler. That's an aberration in my opinion. And the guy just runs so hard and gives us all he's got, man. I mean, how could you not like him?
I totally agree. I love the guy. He's one of my favorite Bears of this century. But if his agent is going to play hardball and demand a certain amount, I almost feel like Montgomery should take a little less than he might get in the open market just to stay with the Bears, stay with an organization that loves him, cares for him. He could have a long career here in Chicago, post-playing career. I hope they can work it out. But at the same time, that market for running backs is so fertile. You can replace a David Montgomery in terms of production. But what he means to this team, what he means to the locker room and so forth, that might be irreplaceable. So we'll see. Are you happy that Eddie Jackson wasn't traded?
Yeah. I mean, we were talking last night. You traded your two, the C emblem for the captain on the jerseys. We traded both of our defensive captains. Roquan and Robert Quinn both were wearing the C. You have to assume it'll be Eddie Jackson. And I was like, who else could it be? And they were saying 33, corner. Maybe so, because you need 2 new captains now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you sure effing do. I'm worried, you and I will be at that Miami Dolphins Bears game at Soldier Field. I'm worried that, like the Mel Tucker defense where they gave up back-to-back 50 burgers, that we could see, another 40-plus point game for the opposition because this Dolphins offense is running on all cylinders now.
Mel Tucker's in trouble in college now. Did you see that his guys attacked Jim Harbaugh's players in the fucking tunnel?
Oh, that's right. I didn't put that 2 and 2 together.
Former Bears there, Jim Harbaugh, the player, and Tucker, the former awful defensive coordinator. Yeah, allegedly some Michigan State guys jumped one of the corner from Michigan and beat the shit out of him in the tunnel.
Is there video of that?
I think there's some kind of video of him being dragged or something. Harbaugh wants criminal fucking charges pressed.
Wow. I got to see the video. I want to see video.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that something like that hasn't happened before, especially in the 70s.
I know. And so now I heard that a lot of people are now calling for 2 tunnels to be built into stadiums so they can separate teams. It's like we're going back to the prehistoric days.
Yeah, I mean, if the Pistons and Bulls could walk down Chicago Stadium and not have a brawl, I mean, then Michigan and Michigan State should not be able to have a brawl, is what I'm saying.
Totally.
Rick Mahorn's walking right past Michael Jordan. I mean, if they can do it, anybody can do it. Because you had to come up those stairs in Chicago Stadium, and you're side by side, elbow by elbow when they were coming out.
That's right. Oh my gosh, yes. Hey, Dan, here's another thing about the national media. Rich Eisen, he perfectly brought up the point that the Packers fans must be really pissed off by this. This is Rich Eisen talking about Claypool to the Bears.
Give Justin Fields some help now.
But,
and you can start
a second round pick?
There, you know what? That's a high pick, but hold on a second. There is some added benefit to it. What do you think right now Packers fans are thinking?
They're freaking the F out.
Yeah, they are. What do you think 12 is thinking?
What are we doing?
Guess who currently, because if they traded the 43rd overall pick away, guess who currently is the 44th overall pick?
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Green Bay.
Yeah.
And if you're sitting here and you wear a cheese head on your head and you're not named Sauce Gardner, and you're a cheesehead and you're sitting here saying, so the Bears flipped the 43rd overall pick for this kid, and we don't think the 44th overall pick is worth it?
It's a great point, right?
Well, I retweeted, I think it was you, or at least the bar room, about an hour ago with someone explaining that Green Bay was trying to trade for him. Did I misread that?
That wasn't me, I don't think. But I heard that the Packers were trying to acquire Claypool.
Yeah, I heard that initially the Bears, unless it's wrong, my retention is the Bears tried to trade the pick that they got with Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
And the perception is that will be much lower than what the Bears pick will be. So to beat Green Bay, then they offered their second pick.
Okay.
At least that's the way I understood it. But perhaps what Rich is saying there is that maybe Green Bay should have offered their second and maybe something else and should have, gone after the receiver that Rodgers thinks he needs. But
exactly.
Yeah, fuck Green Bay. I'm glad they didn't get him.
I'm with you 110%. If the Ravens GM would have called back and said, yeah, well, now the Packers are throwing in the 7th round, what can you do? I would say, all right, listen, I'll send somebody over there and blow you. What do we got to do to get this done? Because, I'm so happy they got Chase Claypool. This guy, and Danny Shimon will be here in about 30 minutes to break down some tape and give us a lesson on Chase Claypool. I picked a bunch of his plays, almost all of his touches from the Ravens upset win of the Buccaneers in week 6, I want to say. So that should be fun to watch and break down some tape. But one of the cool things about why Ryan Post decided to pursue Claypool is because not only did he want to give him more weapons, but he was also concerned about the free agency class for wide receivers next season. This is the GM.
You can never have enough weapons and guys that help your quarterback gain confidence. And I know a lot of the guys are starting to make plays for us, and just adding another receiver is going to allow him to continue to grow and gain that confidence.
I mean, with the 2023 wide receiver, the free agent class that's coming up, a lot of those guys have already signed their deals. Did that play into just how bleak that group is, play into wanting to get Justin more help now instead of just having to rely maybe on the draft for that?
Yeah, and that's part of my job, and that's part of my crew upstairs is you have to do a little bit of forecasting and looking down the road, and I just didn't feel completely comfortable with that. Not to say there's not good players there. I just didn't feel comfortable with not maybe being a little bit more aggressive at this point.
Right. I love that. And, Claypool, to me, he could become a real star in this league. I mean, his speed, his catch radius, his competitiveness. I interviewed him down at the Senior Bowl, Dan, and this guy, he's got a chip in his shoulder. He wants to show people that he can be a top-notch wide receiver. In that draft, the 2020 draft, I had him over Cole Kmet. And I remember Phil and Shane giving me shit. Oh, yeah, right, Claypool and so forth. I'm not sure how they feel now, but I got to believe, as ardent Bears fans as they are, that they're probably cheering the acquisition of Claypool. I know I am. Go ahead.
Why do you think Pittsburgh traded him? If we're Steeler fans, why are they moving him? That's the thing I was trying to ask my friend, and he really didn't have a good answer for me.
Yeah, I simply think it's because they are retooling and they love George Pickens there. They want to create more playing time for George Pickens. He was their first or second round draft pick. He's that acrobatic, long-limbed wide receiver that they have. They really believe in him. And so they felt like, let's pick up this pick because we have so many needs at so many other positions. That's my only guess on it. I'm sure Mike Tomlin and whoever the GM is over there will be talking about that tomorrow in the press conference. That I'll be listening for that.
Another question I have, do we know, or was Ryan Poles asked if somehow these two trades are interlinked? Like, did they trade Roquan with, in their mind, thinking that this next trade was on the horizon?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. I didn't pull that clip, but it was asked, and he hesitated a bit, and he said something like, I don't think so, which to me says, yeah, it was. We wouldn't have made the trade unless we would have gotten a second-round draft pick from the Ravens and that other deal. So I think that they were related. I truly believe it. The thing that I'm worried about, I know that you're worried about, every other Bears fan had to have thought about it, is so what happens in that clubhouse now? Is he worried that because of all these moves of beloved players like Roquan and Quinn, is he worried that the team is going to quit?
What I love about this staff is that they're competitive. This locker room's competitive, and they don't see this as, hey, these moves are happening, so let's just throw in the white towel and just forget about everything else. They want to grind it out. They want to win. I don't think anyone that's watched our games, any single one of them, even the ones we don't win or we're struggling, that don't see the effort, the competition, the fire, everything that we stand for is out on the field, and we're going to continue to do that.
Is it okay then in your mind, defensively, if that group takes a step back, not having two of its top players, is that okay for like the short-term sacrifice for you?
I don't think that's ever okay to take a step back. You're going to have to rely on players to step up and other leaders on the team to make more plays.
Right. Thought this was one of the better press conferences that Poles has had in his young career with the Bears, and I love the fact that during the season, I believe that's his second press conference appearance, as opposed to Ryan Poles, who probably had in the middle of the season, during the season, he probably had a total of 5 or 6 press conferences. So Poles is making himself accessible. And
Poles always looks like he's going fishing. Doesn't he look like he's going on a fishing trip?
You're right, he does.
I'll see you guys on Sunday.
What do you think about him? Do you like Ryan Poles so far?
Yeah, I mean, the jury's still out on him, and I honestly feel like the Roquan trade is going to be something in a couple of years that's going to define him in a lot of ways. If Roquan goes on to be like some defensive player of the year 2 or 3 straight times, and then we're like, we had him in our locker room, and if the Bears are still struggling, people are going to – it's almost like the Trubisky trade for Ryan Pace early on in his regime. It didn't go well, and that's sort of he couldn't get over that. And I feel like that's sort of could be a defining moment for Ryan Poles in a year or two. If Roquan goes on to be an excellent player, like I said, MVP caliber, they're gonna be like, how could you let him walk?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's a great point. And it was asked today in the press conference. One reporter said, Roquan has bet on himself this season. With these transactions, do you sort of see that as you betting on yourself?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, I'm a decision maker and a leader, and you got to step up and you got to make those decisions. And at the end of the day, if it's not, then that is on me.
That's a guy that knows he's going to catch a big fish.
Yeah.
I mean, he's confident. He's saying, yeah, this is on me. I'm the leader. I'm going to make these decisions. I love that. And Ryan Pace sort of said the same thing. He said about, you got to take some big swings and stuff when he made the move for Khalil and stuff. But I like this much more conservative approach because you're starting from scratch almost. You said something earlier, Dan. I'd love for you to expound on more. You still feel like this Bears team is in contention?
Yeah, well, how could you not? Even this sounds crazy, I know, but just allow me to extrapolate for a moment. The Cowboys won by 20 Sunday, And I know I'm going to sound like Wani in 1998 right now, but if you take away that Montgomery fumble, you know, and you take away the Justin jumping over, obviously Fields thought he had been touched, and that's why he was trying to avoid contact. He's not an idiot. He knows he's got, but he thought the guy was down. And watching it live, I thought he was down too until the replay. So many of those plays always come back to haunt the Bears for some reason. But if you take away a couple of plays, the Bears were in the game. And they went for 2 twice, so they should have 31. And in theory, it should have been like 42-31. And the offense was moving the ball. The offense was in contention of scoring seemingly all day. Like, I mean, if you told me they played Dallas again later on and they beat them, it wouldn't seem like it seemed plausible if the defense could tighten up just a little bit and the offense played with the same game plan they had Sunday. Hell, they got 200 yards on a defense that we were told wouldn't give up 30 yards rushing, and they got over 200 yards rushing, and Justin was throwing the ball better. Like, I mean, the offense was good enough to win Sunday. The offense played good enough or well enough to win the game on Sunday. The defense just had one of those games that I hope is an aberration. So if the defense minus Roquan, because Quinn wasn't doing so much this year. He just had 1 sack, but minus Roquan, if they could just get back to, you know, a semblance to where they were against the Patriots, then, and we're only, again, are 3-5, but Green Bay's 3-5. I mean, there are a lot of teams on the cusp of, you know, I think they can get back in it. I do. You got 2 games in Detroit left. You've got Green Bay coming to Soldier Field. You've got Minnesota coming to Soldier Field. That's the first place to make noise is in your own division. Right. If you could knock out those games, or here's the schedule. Miami, we'd love to win it because A, we're going to be there, but B, it's another game, but it's another AFC game. So they've already got 2 AFC wins. They need conference wins here. Atlanta's in first, but, I mean, do you really think Atlanta's that unbeatable? I don't. Detroit, you got to think at some point we're going to finally beat Green Bay. Philly looks tough right now. Buffalo looks tough right now. But you got Detroit and Minnesota. The Jets, come on. I know the Jets are having a good year, but you can't tell me the Bears couldn't beat the Jets. So let's just say, if you go ahead and tell me Buffalo and Philadelphia beat us, which I won't even say that's a foregone conclusion, but let's say that did happen. Maybe the Bears still finish 10-7, 9-8, and that puts you right in the middle of the last wild card spot.
6 of the 9 remaining games are against teams with better records than the Chicago Bears. That's a bad sign. Now you can say, well, I think the Bears offense is going to get better. And I would agree 100% with that. But
there's one more thing you're leaving out though.
Okay.
6 of those 9 are, 6 of the 9 are at Soldier Field.
That is correct.
I mean, and the Bears right now are 2-1 at Soldier Field. They should have beaten Washington.
Right.
So, I mean, we should be better at home is what I'm saying than on the road. So I definitely would rather play Green Bay again at Soldier Field versus going up to Lambeau. Buffalo, you just never know what could happen, man. Maybe it's snowing Christmas Eve, and I know they're used to playing outside too. Just cold weather, things happen. Look what happened to San Francisco week 1. No one thought we were going to win that game but me, I think. And of course, I had no idea. It was going to be a monsoon. Just freaky things happen. Like upsets happen. Like the New England game.
I hope that Tooch doesn't go about his gambling the way you do it. Hey, I'm going to pick Duke minus 50 points to win the money line on this. You know why? Because things happen.
That's why I don't gamble.
They don't compare in terms of talent. And so, yeah, things can happen, but the odds of that are so astronomically against us. I just don't see us winning more than 3 games the rest of the way. I hate to say it.
Okay, well, again, you got 2 games against Detroit, right?
Right.
You've got one. We played Minnesota. They're going to be outside. They're used to being indoors now. That's a winnable game in my estimation. They may be even resting people by that point because they already have 7 wins. So there's 3 right there that's doable. I'm not saying Detroit is a shoo-in by any stretch. Atlanta, I mean, again, is Atlanta really like some juggernaut? The Jets? I don't think so. We owe Green Bay. We owe Green Bay. Philly, I mean, is Philly like going to just keep? Maybe they do. Maybe Philly's like 13-3 or 13-2 this or 13-4 this year. I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, to me, the two Detroit games, the Minnesota game, the Packer game is winnable. The Falcons game is winnable. And damn sure the Jets game. Come on, man. Zach Wilson's not better than Justin Fields.
But the reality is that the Bears gave up 49 points to a Cowboys team.
But they won't to Zach Wilson.
And their defense is now worse than it was because you got this guy named A.J. Klein playing for Roquan Smith.
Is he starting? I'm not even trying to interrupt you to say that.
No,
You're wrong.
no.
I don't know.
I don't know if he is. I doubt he'll start against the Dolphins just because he probably.
Well, we've got another playmaker now too, and like we're running the ball like 200 yards a game as an offense, and now we should be able to throw the ball even better. And maybe the offense is going to mitigate what we lost with the defense because we can ground and pound and play ball control offense if we need to, but we also have this dynamic quarterback who's capable of doing like, oh my God, kind of things like, oh, how do you get out of that? Like, you know, like the stuff my dad would have told me about Fran Tarkenton, you know, how the hell did he get out of Marilyn Olsen chasing him, you know, that kind of shit, you know, like he just loved him and thought at any moment he was going to make a big play. And we've got that with Fields, man. And now we've got another receiver, like you said so yourself. We've got receivers earlier when we were talking about you got Harry now, and you've got Darnell Mooney. You got the new guy from Pittsburgh. I mean, you've got some guys that can make plays that are fast. You've got St. Brown, who's always doing the dirty work, good blocking. Cole Kmet's been an excellent blocker this year. We finally got him into the red zone. Imagine this down in the red zone if we would just have Kmet, whichever one is at back, and then Harry and Claypool all in the same offense. Like, who are you going to stop? Plus Fields. You know, Fields can run, obviously, but he could throw the ball. If they would play Kmet a little bit more like Greg Olsen, like give him some fade routes and such. You know, I mean, we can score. You don't seem convinced, but I think that on offense we could be better.
I admire your optimism. But I just, after so many years of seeing this happen, I just don't think I think that the offense is going to could end up being a surprisingly high scoring offense by the end of the year. I think that's possible, but I just don't see how this defense gets better with the absence of Roquan Smith, a guy who was handling so much of your tackling. And frankly, I'm worried about the psyche of the team. We saw on Sunday a team that you would have said, what happened to the hits philosophy? They would have said, what? What's that? Because they had no fucking interest in hustling. That had to do because of the trade of Robert Quinn and potentially Quinn saying, yeah, I'm here and I'm not going to be here next week. You know, so that was a morally down team that gave up on the whole hits thing and got fucked in the you-know-where by a Cowboys team that their offense has not produced nearly those kinds of results that they did against this Bears defense. So I'm just worried. You know, Dan, let me remind you, you were ready to banish Kindle Vildor to a third world country.
I still think he is very like he needs help. He needs help really badly. I mean, it's the same routes over and over and over. That's why I was so mad at Alan Williams because, I mean, you got to put your players in a good spot, and Vildor just gets beaten over and over and over. And at some point, it's not just the fact that Vildor isn't a first-round talent, but goddamn, you got to scheme. It's like if this were the NBA and you had one guy that literally just was getting torched, you know, maybe you'd put him on the bench or maybe you would switch the scheme. It happens, though. But you got one guy that's just getting scored on over and over and over, and that's Vildor.
Yeah. He has had some problems. It's funny because I went back onto my phone where I videotaped all of my interviews when I was at the 2020 Senior Bowl. And I interviewed Chase Claypool and I interviewed Kindle Vildor, and I was listening back to the Vildor interview and I asked him, what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses and so forth? And he said, I need, in terms of a weakness, I need to get stronger. I need to be able to be physical on every single play. And I think that's part of his downfall so far. As I shouldn't say downfall because I still think his career can be salvaged. He shouldn't be a starter, but he can be a contributor in the defensive backfield. There's just certain things that he's got to improve on. I don't want to give up on him yet. This is his now 2020, so 2020, 21. This is his third season, so I think he's got one more year left on his contract. I hope that they can fix what's wrong with him. He's never going to be great, but Steven says, Ejax made an interesting comment. Can you put that one back up? Mr. Tooch. Ejax made an interesting comment about how some guys aren't playing with urgency and listening in one ear but not paying attention. It was a tweet from Josh Struck from NBC Sports Chicago. Wow. What do you think of that, Dan Aguirre?
Yeah.
Ejax.
Eddie Jackson maybe is stepping up and being the leader we wanted him to be.
Fucking A. He wants to.
And he's got 4 picks this year, right? And I guess he had 1 mitigated or offset by a penalty. So I guess he's had like 5 in theory. So,
J2K says that Vilder has been playing great this year. J2K, did you see what happened?
He said that to me last night too, right? And I just didn't acknowledge it. But I'm not trying to be a dick to J2K. I just we disagree on the Vildor thing. I don't think that Vildor has been playing well. Maybe for Vildor, maybe he's played better than what he used to play. But all in all, I don't think he's had a good year.
No, I see. I disagree with you there, Dan. I think he's had a good year up until Sunday's game against the Cowboys. He was roasted and toasted. He looked terrible out there. But prior to that, this season, he has not had any major plays against them that I can remember. Maybe 1 or 2, but that's it. I thought he hasn't played as many snaps. But when what's his name went down with an injury, Jalen Johnson, Vilder stepped in and he had a couple of really solid games. So I don't know. We can argue about that some other day after the season. I got another soundbite from today's happenings with Ryan Post that I want to share with you. I think I played this one. He said he was betting on himself. So I got them all out of the way. I do want to let people know about our event Saturday, November 5th at 2 p.m. over at King's Entertainment in Rosemont.
Guys, this is Nikki. I'm here at King's, just calling everyone to come join us on November 5th.
Nikki's going to be our server then, and I showed her a couple of pictures of Tooch, from his pornography days, and she really wants to serve Tooch. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Again, it's this Saturday, 2 p.m. The barroom show hosts are going to be there a couple of hours prior. We got kind of a private event. And then after that, we're going to go out into the main area, because our event is in a private room, and then we're going to go out to the main area, and we're hoping to meet as many barflies as possible. You'll get to meet Neil Stotchinsky, Danny Shimon. Both of them have Draft on Tap, and of course, Danny does other things, and he'll be here shortly. You'll get to meet John Buffone. You'll get to meet Vinny Parisi. You'll get to meet Mike North is a tentative, yes, so hopefully he'll be there.
We need Mike there.
Yes, absolutely. Frank Mueller and Johnny Santucci will be there. I forgot to put Johnny Santucci's name on there.
The other Dan will be there.
The other Dan, Mr. Shorty, will be there. Of course, Dan Aguirre will be there. And the number one person that you want to see the most, I'll be there. So let's have a good time. Show up. We'll have a beer. There's a bowling alley there or pool tables and stuff, and we can have a good time, play some stuff. I'll video record some of you guys, some of you barflies, and we can use it for our upcoming shows. It should be a really, really good, cool time. And I understand that the weather is going to be pretty damn nice. So, which is bad because when you're playing the Dolphins at Soldier Field, you're hoping for a 20-degree
but game. Like I told people last night, that happened in 91, and we had like a 10-point lead with 2 minutes to go, and it was snowing, and we still lost.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Lost to Marino in the fucking cold because of a bad punt and Kevin Butler missing a field goal.
Yeah, fuck that weather. That shit doesn't mean anything. A lot of these guys have played in cold weather before, and if they haven't, once they suit up and get hit a couple of times, they forget about the weather.
Well, you were at the game in 18 when it mattered, though, against the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
They did not want to be there. And there was the game. There's the game in 05 when Michael Vick came in.
with the Falcons, or he did not want to be there. The game Rex came off the bench. And yeah, so there have been some instances where the other guy would just Brett Favre in 07 when the Bears beat him, Kyle Orton beat him. It may have been the season finale or the next to last game, but he said he had never been so cold in his life. And think of all the games he played in Green Bay. It was windy and cold, and he said that there was just a horrible experience. His least favorite game he ever had. That's what he said after the game. So the cold got in Brett Favre's head. So, I mean, it does play a role somewhat.
I agree. I just wish it would play a role every time in our favor. I get frustrated.
Especially in the postseason.
Exactly. Cliff wants to know, what do you guys think? Claypool plays this week? I think
I damn sure would put him out there.
Hell yeah. I think, and when Danny gets here, you're going to see some pass patterns, a lot of them slant patterns and these hook patterns and so forth. They'll just tell him this is what the play is called. We got a package of 12 plays for you. So we're not going to change anything. We're going to give you the whole playbook. This week it's 12 plays. And I'm sure DraftKings, Tooch, if you can look at this, and we can talk about this on our segment later, but see if DraftKings has an over-under on catches for Claypool. That might be an interesting bet, because if it's 2.5, I might bet the over on that.
At the very least, the play that they threw to Velus Jones on Sunday. I mean,
yes.
Come on. Tell Claypool, just run. Just go. It's a streak route. Just go. We're throwing it deep. Just go.
Dan, wasn't that the most frustrating play of the season, or one of the most frustrating plays of this season? That game had several of them, by the way. The quarterback sneak by Dak Prescott. He needs a yard. He gets 26.
Oh, my God.
What the fuck? But that Velus Jones, because you feel for the kid. He's had 2 terrible plays on special teams.
He lost 2 of his first 3 games as a pro with fumbled punts.
You can argue that the main play that decided the games were those muffs. Absolutely. And
the play that Smith Marset made in Minnesota, another one, or he gives the ball away.
Yep. So you're praying for poor Velus, come on, let's do something, prove yourself to these fucking naysayers. Do your thing, baby. And it's a fucking beautiful, about the best throw Justin Fields has had all season long. He puts it right there. And Greg Gaber and I looked at it frame by frame, and Greg thinks that he started to leap too quickly or something like that. Whatever, it hit him in the hands. When I grew up playing football in Humboldt Park, the rule was that the ball hits you in the hands,
you're supposed to catch it.
That's it. No fucking excuses. You dropped the ball, Aldo. Now give me 50 cents. Okay. So that's how my life was. I lost a lot of money playing football, but really, I just felt so terrible for the guy. And everybody is going to have doubts, and everybody's going to question the draft pick. This guy, Velus Jones, was not expected on most of the publications and podcasts and all this shit that I pay attention to. He wasn't expected to go earlier than round 5, and the Bears picked him in round 3. That was kind of amazing to me. So I feel bad for the guy. Oh, the Bulls are a winner tonight. Thank you, Tareen. I hope Johnny Santucci won some money. I can tell by the expression on his face right now, he is not happy.
Last I heard, the Phils were up for it's 7-0 Phillies now. Wow.
How so? Dusty it's 1-1.
It's 1-1, but they're down 7 tonight, so it looks like it's going to be 2-1.
What if he loses this World Series? Holy shit! The guy is so fucking unlucky.
Yeah, I know. I'm such a fan of Dusty, and I know so many people in Chicago don't like him, but I've said this so many times. I think if you had the same shitty-ass Cincinnati Reds roster that won probably 70 games this year, and you bring Dusty back into the locker room, they win 85 next year with the same roster. I really believe it. I believe he's that kind of manager. I just hope that he can finally win the big one. I know the Cubs fans, for some reason, kind of blame him for the 2003 madness. I don't understand that, though.
I don't understand that either. That's just fans being fans. My God, Dan, you don't spend a lot of time on Twitter, right?
I do, but not like the way other people do. No, for sure.
I mean, I've been reading so many tweets over the last 3-4 weeks that just have me so fucking, aggravated with the app, And now who knows what's going to happen now with Elon Musk in charge of things, whether he's going to have this fucking free speech thing go to the extent where people can say whatever the fuck without any ramifications.
Like they can cheer Pelosi's husband getting attacked.
Yeah, shit like that. But even in the world of sports, some people can be so fucking mean-spirited about what they say about players and managers.
Imagine if you had Twitter when Bill Buckner had
Oh my God.
In 86 with the Red Sox. Imagine how Bill Buckner would have been.
I mean, he's talked before about what a downer it was in his life that shit happened. So you could imagine how much worse it would have been now.
Scott Norwood.
Another one.
Yeah, Scott Norwood misses that field goal. Oh, my God. There'd have been people the way we should have treated Cody Parkey.
Exactly.
The Bears fans were not going after Cody. Oh, I guess we were, weren't we?
What about Bartman? You think he'd be alive today?
Oh, man.
If Bartman had a Twitter account, they would have found him and done a January 6th on his house.
Yeah, well, like I said, Dusty kind of gets some kind of blame for that. And I guess Moises are Lou, but I don't know. It feels like only Chicago teams have those kind of meltdowns. Yeah. I know that's a victim complex. I'm not trying to espouse it, but I can't really, I mean, other than the Boston 86 play with Buckner and losing game 6. I mean, how many other games can you point to like that aren't Chicago related?
I don't know. Well, I should have done a cool little video interstitial for the introduction of Danny Shimon. Can you riff on something, Dan Aguirre? Let me see if I can find some music and you just riff on.
You just want me to go on a rant?
Yeah, just fucking make shit up about how awesome he is. Hold on, let me find.
Oh, Danny Shimon?
Yeah, Danny Shimon, because he's.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, Danny Shimon's about to join us, and that motherfucker knows what he's doing when it comes to breaking down the film. I'm not trying to compare him to other people that used to work here, your Barlissimos, your Draft Dr. Phils, but he's in the same argument, the same ballpark, the same garage. Either if he's better, I don't know. But we know he's good. He's going to give you solid analysis, and we're going to be educated right now on the kind of plays that we could expect to see from Mr. Claypool potentially Sunday at Soldier Field against the Miami Dolphins. Hopefully our first win against Miami at Soldier Field since week 1 of 1988. Where is Danny now? Because I'm running out of stuff.
Wait a minute. I got a new mouse pad, and it's so freaking sensitive that I've been screwed up all day. Right now, it's not going where I want to go. But there he is, Danny Shimon. I saw him backstage laughing at your introduction. Very well done, Danny Aguirre, for riffing like that. Think of this music here as fucking Johnny Santucci's looking at his bets and wondering how am I going to pay my mortgage? Danny Shimon, how are you, my friend?
What's up, guys? That's got to be the best intro I've ever had. Aldo, cue that up, tape it up. The every time Draft on Tap starts, I want to hear that intro.
All right. We can do that. He is. Oh man, we're doing so good. I smoked some marijuana before the show, so I'm really mellow right now.
Yeah, I mean, nothing to talk about tonight, so you have to kind of carry the show, right?
Exactly.
Topics,
exactly. I was asking Dan about his sex life and stuff. He had a really good story about him and this dog.
What?
I'm just kidding. All right, I want to get your impression, your immediate reaction. Chase Claypool comes to the Chicago Bears. What did you say?
I was surprised. You asked me point blank after that post game show if the Bears are going to make any more trades, and I thought they were done. Honestly, I didn't see the Roquan trade coming, and then I didn't see this trade coming. And there were rumors that Claypool, Jerry Jeudy, some of the other receivers were available. Obviously he gives the Bears something that they don't have right now. Is a 6'4", 240-pound freak of an athlete, runs a 4.40, has a 40+ inch vertical coming out of Notre Dame, 32+ inch arm length. So he's got the huge catch radius. He's a guy that's immensely talented. And we saw, the first couple of years when he had Ben Roethlisberger as his quarterback, he put up some solid numbers, average about, 14 to 14.5, catches, yards per reception. Even at Notre Dame, he was a kid that had big play potential. 16, 17 yards per reception is what his college stats were. 10 touchdowns as a senior coming out of Notre Dame. So this kid's talented, immensely talented, right? And so my first reaction was, and you know me, Aldo, I hate giving up draft picks. And
Yes.
I was like, oh, what did they give up for him? You know, I was excited for the kid and in terms of getting that talent. But I'm like, what did they give up for him? So the second round pick, and it's going to be their second round pick, which probably will be higher than, you know, the Ravens pick, is what they gave up. And it turns out from reports, it was either give up your second round pick or have him go to the Packers, because apparently the Packers offered the same thing, a second round pick, and the Ravens took the Bears pick because they figured it was going to be a higher second round pick. So if you're Ryan Poles, you have a conviction on a player, you've liked this kid, you know, for a while now, and then from what reports I saw, it was like they were trying to go after him for a bit now. You know, either you go make that trade, give up that draft capital, or you see him play twice a year for your rival. So I think Ryan Poles said, you know what, I want this kid, and went and got him. He got a playmaker for his quarterback, his franchise quarterback there in Justin Fields. And my only thing with Claypool, and we'll get to the tape and we'll show some of what he brings to the offense in terms of the versatility. You know, you can line him up inside, you can line him outside. You know, just some of the things that I've heard in terms of in Pittsburgh is some of the immaturity. There are questions about his desire, you know, stuff like that. But you got to remember, the kid's 24 years old. He's still not, you know, still a young kid, even though he's third year in the league. You know, he'll bring you that big play potential. It's just the matter of, like, you know, is he going to develop into a number one? He's not number one right now, but he's got the potential to develop into a number one if he continues on the trajectory that everyone kind of sees for him. So I don't think the Bears are done at receiver in terms of the offseason. I think this will kind of eliminate him from the free agent, a veteran free agent market. But I think, you know, looking in the draft, whether it's second, third, fourth round, you're still going to bring in some more receivers. So, you know, definitely got to add talent around Justin Fields. And Aldo, I've been saying it for forever now. Just bring these big body, and then that's what they were looking for. They're looking for these big bodied X receiver so they can put them on the outside, give them one-on-one matchups, and let Justin just kind of throw the ball up there and let this guy go up and make a play on the ball. So that's what they got.
They got a good one, I think. You and I saw him down at the Senior Bowl. You know, there was talk back then that maybe move him to tight end because he had that kind of body. I remember asking him about it. He goes, no, I'm a wide receiver. And now, you know, he's proven in his 2.5 seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers, was it 2.5? Yeah, that the guy can play the position. He's got great athletic skills. And so we've picked out Danny, you got a question for Danny before we start reviewing this tape?
I was just sitting back and chilling. I didn't have one off the top of my head. If you want me to come up with one, perhaps I can.
Well, go for it, because you riff so well. And so I'm asking you now to riff a question for Danny Shimon.
Well, okay, Danny, I just asked your opinion what I thought to Aldo earlier. Could you imagine maybe an offensive goal line set with either David Montgomery or Khalil Herbert, but maybe, just maybe, you have Cole Kmet and you utilize him the way they did finally in Dallas, but maybe you have Harry and maybe you have Claypool. I mean, you should be able to get a matchup somewhere and score more points. Aldo's like, I don't see it. We're going to win 3 more games the rest of the year. I feel like the offense could score more points now and be deadlier in the end zone. Do you disagree?
No, I agree. I mean, you got some great matchups here. And don't forget, you know, St. Brown is about 6'5" as well. So the one thing with this kid here, Claypool, as opposed to what St. Brown does, is he's a guy who can go up and make contested catches. You know, those jump balls, those one-on-one. So if you are, say, you know, 1st and 10 at the 7-yard line, you could just, if he's got one-on-one coverage, you throw the ball up there and he can go up there and make a play. Like I said, 6'4", 240 pounds, runs a 4.40, 40-inch vertical, you know, stuff like that. You know, go up and make a play on the ball. So, you know, I think that gives you another option here in the red zone. You know, and then that, again, once you see that rapport with him and Justin develop, I think you'll see more and more plays. And I think I heard you guys talking about earlier in terms of, you know, will he play this week? I think, you know, he hasn't come in yet. It hasn't taken his physical. I don't believe. So once he arrives, we'll see what it is. But, you know, I think you could put in a package of plays for him. You know, not a ton of them. Obviously, just give him a limited route tree. You know, like a go route or some, you know, slip screens, you know, bubble screens out of the backfield, and just let him go ahead and make some plays, some quick hitters. But, you know, obviously he won't be fully, you know, entrenched in a playbook for another probably 2-3 weeks, right? So, but another thing we're going to see in this tape here is this kid's pretty, obviously he's big, but he's pretty good in terms of yards after contact, right? So these guys, you'll see defenders bouncing off his legs, him breaking tackles. So, and there's actually a play that I don't think we got this week in this clip here, but against Philadelphia, where he just drags 2 or 3 defenders with him in the middle of the football field. So, one of the things he wanted to do in Pittsburgh, and they weren't giving him the opportunity, was go deep, run some more fly routes, some patterns downfield. And I think that's something he was complaining about this year. And I think with the Bears, he'll eventually get those opportunities down the field.
That first play in the package that was just aired, where it was the one on the sideline from Big Ben. It looked like it looked like the same play Lynn Swann caught in Super Bowl 10. I mean, it's just a phenomenal catch.
Yeah.
The very first one on the sideline there.
Yeah, and he gives you that ability. Again, one-on-one coverage. If Justin looks to the outside, he sees one-on-one coverage with Claypool, I would just throw the ball up there and let him go up there and make a play. And that's one of the reasons why I was kind of looking forward to the recovery in terms of health-wise of N'Keal Harry, not because he's a great receiver or potentially be a great receiver, but just that big bodied frame that Justin didn't have up until now. A guy with physical at the catch point, go up and make a play in football. And I said, this would be a nice release valve for Justin. If he's feeling pressure, he's got one-on-one coverage on the outside, just throw the ball up there and let the guy go up and make a play. Now you got another guy, a guy who's more athletic, a guy who's got more speed, and a guy who's got probably better hands than N'Keal Harry, at least so far what we've seen. Go up there and again make those plays when you have one-on-one coverage.
All right, so this was some clips, about 6 or 7 of them from the Steelers and Tampa Bay Bucs game from, I think it was week 6. And so the first play on our sheet is a Kenny Pickett pass to Chase Claypool. This is the game where Mitchell Trubisky came in place of Pickett and led the team back and secured a win, an upset win over the Bucs. So this was an impressive game. Danny, take it away.
Do you have them in the order that I gave them to you, Aldo?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes.
So this is So one thing here I'll point out real quick is this is where I want to see Claypool kind of lined up, and I think you will see that. I want him seeing him in the slot. Plus, I want to see him on the outside as well, because you get him in the slot, you get a lot of mismatches with him. You get a smaller defender, probably a nickel corner, or most likely you probably get a linebacker. You get him on a defender that he's going to either out leverage in terms of size, speed, and whatnot. So here you see him lined up in the slot. As you see the play come up real quick. Again, quick hitting 5-yard catch, and he'll go ahead and turn upfield real quick, bouncing off defenders. So he takes a 5-yard quick pass here, getting the ball out of the quarterback's hands, turns it upfield real quickly, and makes that first down. And this is what we've been talking about in terms of Justin Fields, getting the ball out of his hands quickly because of the offensive line in terms of pass protection. This kind of player is going to help him get that ball out. Bam, get up the field, get an easy first down. This is something that he's going to go ahead and bring to the offense, I feel like.
Yeah, I love that. That he, just as you said, when I saw that play, I thought to myself, this is exactly what Justin needs, is to be able to move the ball with a 3-yard, 4-yard forward pass. And then I love Claypool's intensity there he's like crawling at the end of the play. He just devours getting more yards and stuff. He's just such a great competitor. I really love that about him. All right, this is play number 2 on your checklist there, Danny. So it's Trubisky's pass to Claypool for 16 yards.
Yeah, here we're going to see him in a trips right formation. He's at the top of the stack here. And again, just identify his zone coverage. Does a nice job of just sitting down in the zone and providing a nice big target for the quarterback. This is one of the benefits of lining him up here in the slot, is you'll see him just kind of get that mismatch. Again, a linebacker coming out to cover him he's going to be open 99% of the time. So again, just get a nice big target in the middle of the field here. Don't have to go back there 5, 6, 7 sub drops. Just real quick, bam, 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 1, 2, 3, hit the ball, shoot your back foot, get the ball out of your hands. Get it to your big target downfield, get an easy first down. These are the things that I'm excited about in terms of what he could provide here for the Bears in terms of offense. Just a real quick, fast, release valve for some of that pressure that Justin's been seeing, especially up the middle or coming in straight into his face.
Dan Aguirre, are you going to run out and buy a Chase Claypool jersey? We'll see what number he wears on Sunday, because he's not going to wear number 11 unless he pays Darnell Mooney for some money. What do you think? Claypool jersey is in your future?
I think the only active jersey I have now is Fields.
Justin Fields, that's right.
I've got him in orange and navy and white. I don't have him in the
1936 jersey, but that's the only active player that I have at this point. I think it is Justin.
Wow.
We gotta wait. We gotta wait to see. Wait to see what number he wears first of all, because to me numbers are very important. It's gotta look cool. Numbers gotta look cool. Now he wore 83 at Notre Dame, so I wonder if 83 is an option for him here at the pros. Someone posted out or tweeted out a picture of him in a number 17 jersey. Not
Every
sure.
wide receiver since Alshon that's worn 17 hasn't done well in Chicago, though. It seems like just like every quarterback that wears number 8 after Rex hasn't done well.
Let's break that curse, baby. Chase is the man. All right, next play I got up here is that Trubisky short middle pass to Claypool for 17 yards, amigo.
Yep. Again, we're going to see a trips formation, him again at the top of the stack. And again, here he's got to have a safety on him. Antonio Winfield Jr. is a pretty good player. And I want to see here at the physicality as he stems this route, just kind of pushes off at what the safety comes across the middle. Again, has his shoulder square to the quarterback as he's flowing to the right there, and gives the quarterback a nice big target to throw at. So again, working in the middle of the field. He's not a guy that's going to get scared to go across the middle of the field. You see his clips. He'll take punishment. He'll dish out some punishment as well. So again, just physicality at the top of his route there, breaking free from the safety, and then becoming a nice viable target for the quarterback in the middle of the football field. And again, turning upfield. In all these clips, guys, he's 11 yards, 14 yards, 17 yards. He's getting first downs every time he gets his hands on a football. So that's the thing, is keep the chains moving. You got a guy that's going to help you, complement that running attack, and now another guy that's going to help you get that, get the ball down the field and get those first downs and keep those chains moving.
And that play, Danny, as you know, and this next play, the 26-yard completion to Claypool from Mitch Trubisky, came late in the game under very tense situations. These were game-winning plays that Claypool came up with. And I hate to say it, I don't hate to say it, but Trubisky came up with really good play. Mike North is so proud of him. All right, next play is that 26-yarder.
This play's got me excited, guys. If you're a Bears fan, this is what you got to love to see, because you don't have a receiver on the roster that can do this right now. All right, so again, I was going to line up in the slot here, and you see here who's covering him. Again, he's mismatched. It's a linebacker, and he'll take the middle of the field. Linebacker, leverages linebacker, gets past him as he drag routes here, gets upfield here, gets it over the top leverage. And then look at here at the poorly thrown ball by Trubisky. We've seen that before, right? But look at the body control here. Look at the ability to contour and be able to extend away from his frame using those 32+ inch arms, and also then be able to concentrate and haul in the catch as he's falling down. This is what the potential he gives you here. This is like number one receiver stuff here. This is what these big time receivers do. And he gives you that kind of stuff, right? He gives you that potential. Like I said, no one on the roster currently can do this kind of plays. So these are things that you got to get excited about. You watch this and just kind of imagine what him and Fields can do, as they develop a chemistry here down the road. But again, just using that speed, being able to, again, mismatch, lining up and inside. A linebacker cannot stay with them. Right, uses that speed to drag across the field and then go upfield. And again, the poorly thrown football, contour, body control, be able to adjust and make that play. If you think about it, how many times if a one-on-one coverage, just throw back shoulder throws. This guy can make those kind of plays. We've been dying for a back shoulder receiver here. Robinson has been doing it for a couple of years there, but ever since he's kind of diminished in terms of his productivity, we haven't seen those back shoulder opportunities. And this is a guy that can give you that so much as well here too.
Danny, do you know what made him expendable in Pittsburgh? Or is that
George Pickens? It was that second round pick Pickens. Pickens was a 5-star athlete coming out of high school. He's a guy that if he had better quarterback play, more consistent quarterback play at Georgia, and then have the injuries in terms of the ACL injury he had this senior year, and also he had some off the field problems, he would have been a surefire first round pick. And he's a guy that I earmarked, and Aldo, you may remember this, when the Bears made that safety pick, Brisker in the second round. He's the guy I'd earmarked for that second round pick, and that's something that I've been adamant about. Not that Brisker's going to be a bad player. I think Brisker's a good player, but I think just the position, the need, Pickens was the guy, and he got drafted four picks after the Bears took Brisker. So that's a guy that I've always kind of earmarked for the Bears. I wanted him in that second round with that second round pick, and it didn't matriculate for the Bears, but he became available because of Pickens' ability. Obviously, they have Deontay Johnson there as well. And then in terms of, what they're looking to do, apparently from what Schefter was reporting today is they were not looking to trade him. But obviously, I guess after this past week, there was the loss and everything. I think they just figured, let's get a second round pick. We can go on and move on and get some assets here because they know they have a massive rebuild there in probably Pittsburgh.
In other words, they threw the white towel in, and that's not exactly what Ryan Poles is doing, but it's similar. Both teams were in kind of similar roles. Same one-loss record. No, the Bears have a one game in the win column over them. But what do you think, Danny, about what Cliff Victoria asked a little while ago? Is how much is this going to help Darnell Mooney having Chase Claypool on the field?
Well, it helps them a lot. It helps everyone. And I think there's a question on the screen here in terms of Kmet as well, because what it does is his ability to get downfield with that speed, that's going to take defenders down the field with him. That's going to open up everything underneath. And now you also have remember that play action ability, which your running attack, right? With your rushing attack. We've seen tape here. We've broken down tape where the second level defenders, their first inclination, first two steps are coming downhill because they on these play action passes, and they're going to come downhill. You got a defender going up the field with Claypool. Now that patch right between that second and third level is wide open. That's going to be Mooney's going to be eating there. Kmet's going to be eating in there. If it's St. Brown's going to be eating in the Pettis. All these guys have the opportunity now in that middle of the field. All's going to be open because of the fact that you have a guy on the outside taking a defender with him downfield. And then you have, obviously the threat of the running attack as well. So I think this just kind of works hand in hand. Now, once you add even more weapons, once you get another receiver to kind of be a bigger threat as well, now it's going to open things up even more. So, but we haven't seen a receiver with this size, this kind of speed downfield threat in a while here, especially with this offense. And I think with Getsy, I've really been impressed with the way he's been scheming guys open. Right there, obviously there's guys with limitations here at receiver, but if you watch the tapes week in and week out, he's putting positions and players in position to succeed to their talents, to their strengths. And I think, this is going to help be another guy that's going to be able to kind of, be a spotlight there put on him by Getsy and the way he schemes him open.
Outstanding stuff. All right. The last clip we have is the touchdown pass that Claypool caught in that Tampa Bay game. Mitch Trubisky is at quarterback.
Again, I just want to highlight here his ability. It looks like it's a defender drops into zone, kind of pushes him off. But I want to show his ability in terms of being physical at the catch point, be able to catch through contact. Here, as the ball arrives, Carlton Davis is right over his shoulder there, swipe in and try and knock the ball away. But he absorbs that contact and is able to concentrate and bring in that pass for a touchdown. Again, these are things that I look at for my receivers. Can they, first of all, can he threaten the field vertically? We checked that already. Is he a physical, after the catch, in terms of yard after contact? We've seen that already. And then, through the catch point, is he physical at the catch point? He's a guy that can go up there and make plays through contact. We've seen him in terms of when he stems his route at top of his route, he gets some physicality there as well, being able to push off and create some separation there as well. So, gives you all the things you look for in your number one type of receiver. Obviously, the consistency's got to be there, right? Now, there are going to be times where you're going to watch him drop a pass. It could be a simple pass, and that could be just a lack of concentration. He could, not look the ball in all the way, try and kind of get upfield real quick. And those are something you can kind of chalk up to a young receiver, maybe, as he matures, kind of getting those out of his system. But, but in terms of big playability, he gives you that. In terms of a big body receiver, he gives you that. In terms of physicality, he gives you that. And we haven't even touched about in terms of his run blocking as a receiver as well. That's another thing that's going to be something that's going to be highlighted in this Bears offense is lined up in that X. We've seen how many times we've seen St. Brown or we've seen Mooney try and take on these defensive ends and kind of get pushed over. This is a bigger body, more stronger, more physical specimen that if you line him up in the X and he tries to block down or pin down those defensive ends, he's got a better opportunity of doing that as well. So we'll see that highlighted here in the future as well once he gets fully acclimated in this Bears offense.
Man, it's so awesome to listen to Danny talk about players and breaking down tape. Dan, are you a fan?
Am I a fan of Claypool or am I a fan of Mr. Shimon?
Of Mr. Danny Shimon.
Yeah, of course.
I appreciate that. That's high honors right there.
Oh, thank you.
I got a crush on both of you guys, by the way.
Has Claypool spoken out, whether it be via Twitter or has there been any reaction by him after the trade?
I just saw a tweet where he said, he's going back to the Midwest and just, the Bear Down logo. That's about it. That's all I saw. I didn't see anything else.
I wonder if
I'm
he's
sure
really
Aldo-
thrilled. I hope he wants to be here. And if he
I bet he
has the
does.
effort, the play you were talking about where he was crawling.
Yes.
If you have that kind of effort, I'm that alone, Aldo. Come on, that gives us 4 wins instead of
Yes.
just 3 the rest of the way. Come on.
Danny, how many more games are the Chicago Bears going to win this season? I am of the opinion it's going to be 3 to 4 tops. Dan Aguirre, God bless him, he thinks that the Bears can win enough to sneak into a
Well,
wild
look,
card.
okay, looking at that once more, you got Detroit both times. You got Minnesota, who may be resting and chilling people. Plus, it's cold. It's week 18. They don't want to fuck around with us in week 18. So I'm thinking those 3 could be wins. Atlanta is not a juggernaut. The Jets are not a juggernaut. I mean, you got 5 games right there. Who's to say you don't beat Green Bay finally? Who's to say we don't beat Miami Sunday? Now, Buffalo and Philadelphia on paper right now look extremely daunting. But the rest of them, I will say, could be victories.
Yeah, the only thing, and I agree.
And I agree with I can't get to him, so you try.
and I agree with Dan to a certain extent in terms of I see the offense kind of on an upward trajectory, right? And all you did was you added a playmaker on offense. Now, the unfortunate part is you took away a lot from this defense that, in my opinion, wasn't really that good in the first place, right? And a lot of people were kind of just lauding the defense in the first couple of weeks, but I still saw issues in terms of the pass rush, not getting to the quarterback. If he didn't blitz, there were no sacks in some of these games. So, now getting rid of Roquan Smith, who was your best defender, I think that's going to be an issue there. But if the defense can give up anywhere between 17 and 20 points a game, I think this offense is going to start putting up more and more points. And I think, like Atlanta, I think like Dan says, is a winnable game. At Detroit, both games are winnable games. So that's 3 right there.
The Jets
Jets have a tough defense, but offensively, Zach Wilson's throwing the ball all over the place. So, we'll see how that goes, but they have the power or the capabilities of beating you as well. So that could be either way for me with the Jets. Minnesota could be a game 8. Like I said, week 18, they could have already have the division clinched. They could be resting guys. So that could be potentially 3-4 wins there. And then, I had them down coming into the season between 7 and 8 victories. And I think if you got either 7 or 8 with this group, knowing what they were trying to do in this first year, I think it's a heck of a coaching job by Eberflus and the staff. So, and if they get 7 or 8 victories after this tumultuous week, the last 2 weeks where you're trading your 2 team captains and you're making another acquisition, bringing a guy in basically mid-season to be a big-time contributor on your offense, that, again, as a hat tip from me to this coaching staff and Matt Eberflus. So, the key thing is the veterans, and Ryan Poles, I love the fact he said that he sat down with the coaching staff and with the veterans on the team and kind of tell, hey, this is what's going on. I don't want you guys to think, hey, all this, weeks of OTAs and training camp and the first 8 or 9 weeks have been for nothing, that we're still going to try and compete, but we are trying to get better as a team going forward. And I think hopefully that resonates throughout the locker room. And it's going to be on this defense. If this defense comes out and lays down and just kind of gives up, and they've given up, and then if we saw what we saw versus Dallas against Miami and against other teams, that's a bad sign, right? But hopefully that they have some spirit or some toughness, and then they come back and they battle hard. And like I said, if the defense gives anywhere between 17 and 21 points a week, I think this offense is going to be able to put points on the board, and we're going to pull off a couple more victories.
Danny, real quick before we kick you out of here, Laro asks, who would you start? Would you move AJ Klein to Sanborn, Mike at the mic, or Morrow at the will? What kind of a configuration do you see?
Well, I think, in their base, obviously, I think what's going to happen is it'd be interesting to see. AJ Klein just got here. I'm not sure if he knows the system or not. I think Joe Thomas is going to start this week along with Morrow, and then hopefully Adams comes back. I think he's been out 4 games now. He's eligible to come back. I'm not sure if he's I know he was working out on the field pregame last week. He's a kid that if they go into their nickel, which is the 2 linebackers, I think it's going to be Morrow and Adams. If they're not, I think it's going to be Morrow and Joe Thomas, and possibly Sanborn there as well. So, but Adams, number 44, watch if he comes back. Him and Morrow are going to be the guys. I think they're going to be most of the playing time, most of the snaps there at linebacker.
Bears Country Podcast. This is Mr. Shorty. He says he'll pay $100 to the first person who makes Danny Shimon laugh. Dude is spot on serious. So Mr. Shorty will have his opportunity to make Danny laugh Saturday, November 5th at Kings Entertainment. You see it up on the screen, 5505 Park Place. Danny has committed. He's bringing his sister and one or maybe both of his kids. That's going to be outstanding. We're going to have a good time. Danny, you looking forward to meeting Dan Aguirre?
Yes, sir. Dan Aguirre, John Buffone, our barflies, everyone. Just looking forward to meeting everybody, having a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. Danny, thanks so much for looking at that tape on such short notice and being here and helping us out.
Anytime. Whenever you guys need me, just give me a call.
Okay, brother.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
That's Danny Shimon. Isn't he awesome?
Yeah. No, really is. He made it sound like I was insincere. I didn't mean to sound that way.
Do you like tape review?
I mean, not to the extent that they do, because I watch the Bears because it's my passion, and not to get too deep, but when things are going bad as a kid, that's kind of what I submerge like myself in. If there was something bad happening personally at the house, I just kind of like went into that world, like that was my fantasy world. How some people had the never ending story or, things like, for kids. But for me, it was sports. It was the Bears. And so I don't want to break down tape and make my passion my job. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to announce the game because I want this to be my fun time. I don't want to be working while I'm watching the Bears. I don't want to be watching the play and thinking, well, how am I going to break this down 3 hours from now? Fuck that, man. I want to watch it and just be a fan. I'm a fanboy. I admit it, man. So
yeah, well, I'm a lot like that too. I love watching sports for the human drama. For it's like watching a great fucking movie. Every game has its own plot. It has its own obstacles that the heroes have to overcome. Sometimes it's a sad ending, unfortunately, too many times recently, and sometimes it's a great ending. I love that. Over the years, I started to really fall in love with the X's and O's. I used to coach a flag football team. And so I bought books on coaching and strategy and stuff. I was into it, but it's not, I love the storytelling. I love the NFL films approach towards being a fan, the mythology of the game, than I do the coaching, the X's and O's. Again, I like that, but not as much as the mythology.
I totally agree with you. If watching the Bears is, we can make it a metaphor to a car, I don't care how this supercar fucking functions underneath the hood. I just want it to I want it to turn on when I turn the ignition, or if it's one of the newer cars, I press the button, whatever. I want it to fucking work when it turns on. I don't need to know. I'm not a mechanic. I don't need to know every X's and O play, every strategy. I'm watching the game, I'm a fan, and I'll never pretend to be something other than I'm not. I'm not going to tell you that I know more than anybody else, or in fact, that kind of disposition. Now, I don't mean this toward Danny in any way. That kind of disposition sometimes rubs me the wrong way when someone thinks that they are so much more knowledgeable than you. You're just a mere fucking peasant,
I know there's a lot of that.
That's the only bad part about. We were talking to Chris, from England or Scotland. Where's he from? Overseas. Last night.
Leeds. He's in Leeds in UK.
Well, Chris Watts, we were talking about how great it is to somebody like him or George across the fucking other side of the fucking world. And then me here, and then you in Illinois, and like John's in Pennsylvania, I guess, and the other Danny's in, Georgia. That the Bears can bring everybody together. That's such the good aspect. But the bad part is you run into people who try to tell you that they're a bigger Bear fan than you are.
Yeah.
That kind of shit bothers me, but I think we're all on the same page. We all want the team to win.
Exactly. Fandom comes in so many shapes and sizes, but what I've been really vomiting at is there's so many of us Bears fans fighting with other Bears fans because I'm right, I'm this, I'm that. No, you got it wrong, and so forth. I've seen so much of that stuff. It's such a fucking turnoff. And
I agree.
Everybody racing to be right about something. You know what? I was actually running through this in my mind when I was smoking my first marijuana cigarette of the day. I should go on tonight's show, I said to myself, and just fucking proclaim I'm right this time. I wanted Chase Claypool. Phil and Shane didn't want them. I wanted them. They were making fun of me. They were mocking me. I want Chase Claypool. I was right. I should have come on to this show and done that.
Yeah, they were giving you hell over the guard too.
Oh my gosh. And I truly believe is that you have to build your team nowadays from the interior of the offensive line out to the tackles, because it's such a quick passing game nowadays. And have you noticed something that's going on in the National Football League? And then we'll bring Johnny Santucci in. Running backs, there's a resurgence in the running game. There's a resurgence in defense. These defensive coordinators have learned how to adapt to the passing game. If it's third down and more than 5-6 yards, they go into the shell defense. Sometimes they'll just rush 3 guys. They'll have 8 guys back in the defensive backfield or 7 guys, and they're just smothering it in a zone defense, and they're stopping so much of the passing from happening. And so it's like you expected flying cars by 2022. Under the new rules, we expected there to be 50 to 60 games every Sunday in pro football, and that's not the case. Scoring is down. Defensive coordinators have caught up. The running game is making a resurgence because now you're more likely to pick up a 3rd and 7 on a run play than you are passing into these deep, thick zones. So there's my fucking rant for the day. There's a guy named Johnny Santucci who...
And he's going to be there Saturday.
He's going to be there Saturday. And I think of him as a brother. By the way, I hate my brother, but that's a different story. No, I love my brother, and I love Johnny Santucci. And what should I do? Should I play Johnny Santucci's open first and then welcome him on, or should we welcome Johnny Santucci? And I love saying that fucking name. Don't you, Darren? Isn't that one of the best fucking names in barroom history? Johnny Santucci. It
is. I just keep seeing Mike North tentatively, and it's like, no, Mike, I want to meet you. Why aren't you going to be there?
He told me he was going to go, but I haven't sent him the details yet. So I'm hoping he's going to keep that commitment and he will be there. So it will be such a treat to have him there. So, all right, without further ado, let's bring in Johnny Santucci now. Johnny, how are you, man? Are you muted? You probably are.
Freezing, muted, can't run the virtual background because of the video lag.
Oh, no.
I like the banner, Aldo. I fixed it for you below, though. Did you see?
Thank you. Yes, you put your name on it?
Yeah.
Frank
Miller,
Neil
Stapchinsky. Yep, Neil.
Nasli Briones. And Santucci. Whom I forgot. Well done.
It's too bad we can't get Aaron and Zimmerman with us too.
Yeah, I know Zim is buying. He lives out west in Arizona. He's buying a new home.
Oh, he's in Colorado, I thought, isn't he?
No, I thought Chris Gonzalez is in Colorado.
Oh, Chris Gonzalez. Okay.
But maybe I got them.
I think Zim is in Colorado.
I think Zim is in Colorado because he went to the Denver game with the Bears in 19.
That makes sense because Gonzalez works in the border for
like San Diego or Arizona or somewhere like that.
I think Aaron is on the Nebraska border with Iowa. Is that where Aaron is?
Yeah, in Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Well, on that note, I'm going to piss. I'll be right back.
All right, just
go piss. Tooch, you want to play your open, and then
I got Bear State of Affairs. If I don't know when you want me to do the Bears. Yeah, okay. I gotta. Yeah. You gonna roll it, or you want me to roll it?
Why don't you roll it since I can't find it?
Okay, let me scroll through here. There it is. Okay, here we go.
Oh, there. Anytime, Tooch.
All right. Should I go solo up here for a little bit, or how do I?
Are you not seeing me? Are you having a connection problem?
No, I can see you. I just was wondering if you wanted me to be up here by myself.
When you're not by yourself, I'm here. Hi, here. You or me.
All right, here we go. Yeah.
Go ahead. Take it away.
Yep. Bears State of Affairs, Week 7, Club Hydroplane 2, Electric Bellachoke. Week 8, the good, the bad, and the traded. Well, Barflies, last Sunday's game against the Cowboys was a mixed bag. Another game of ups and downs, mostly downs, some good, some bad. Yes, it looks like the Bears are an offensive team now. Best get used to it. Justin Fields and company just put up 29 points on a good Cowboy defense. The only problem is that the defense gave up 49 points, and that was with Roquan Smith. 1 point shy of giving up a 50-burger may have brought back memories of the Trestman era for Barflies, but another stellar performance by Justin Fields was one of only a few bright spots, as the Cowboys didn't really have an answer for Fields' scrambling ability. In this game, Bears fans really got a glimpse of the potential problems that Justin Fields can cause opposing defenses. We were all forced to take notice. Justin Fields just might be the franchise quarterback we've yearned for if he puts it all together. Hell, he might be dangerous with a capital D. Quarterbacks that can keep drives alive and scramble for a back-breaking first down when the game is on the line are something every NFL team desires. Even ones who make incredible, amazing athletic plays to avoid touching a man down after a turnover. Yes, Bears fans were given a ray of hope in defeat. Until Monday, when fan favorite and eccentric linebacker Roquan Smith was traded away for a second-round pick, a fifth-round pick, and a 10-year NFL veteran journeyman linebacker. Yes, the NFL's leading tackler will be doing Roquan things for the Ravens now. But less than 24 hours later, the Bears traded that second-round pick to the Steelers for plus-sized wide receiver and former Golden Domer Chase Claypool, giving the Bears a possible stud number 1 receiver. Ryan Poles was wheeling and dealing before the trade deadline, something Bears fans haven't really seen former Bears GMs do. Trading away 2 of the defense's top players and acquiring a wide receiver had Bears fans' heads spinning. Love it or hate it, Poles is shaping the future of the Bears organization, creating the salary cap space for the Bears to be competitive next year and hopefully for years to come. Look, I know it's a difficult pill to swallow, but Poles really didn't have much choice. He traded away a player who held out during his rookie season, disappeared for a time or two during his Bears tenure, bashed the team at Family Day, and turned down a contract which would have made him one of the highest paid linebackers in the NFL. Bears fans and NFL team gave Poles an offer he couldn't refuse for an off-ball linebacker who's a great tacker but really can't shed blocks and doesn't really fit the scheme. Bottom line is that Ryan Poles is paying the bar tab that Ryan Pace skipped out on. Take a page out of old Tooch's book and try to look on the bright side. The Lions still stink, and we're actually tied for second in the division with the Packers. And most importantly, the Bears will have more than double the salary cap space of any other team in the league with over $120 million available. That means the Bears have the potential to rebuild quickly. So while this season might be filled with Trestman-like defensive collapses, the future is actually pretty bright. The Bears might actually have a franchise quarterback. Next week, the Bears are at home to play the Dolphins, who just beat the hapless Lions, a team who traded away their stud tight end to their division rival, the Vikings. Go figure. Looks like the Lions are still the incompetent Lions, Don. And a happy belated Halloween birthday to Bears fan Dan, whose 8 Roquan Smith jerseys are now up for sale on eBay. Link below in the description. Or you can hit him up this Saturday at Kings in Rosemont, where Bears State of Affairs star Tooch will be signing 8x10 glossies for lucky barflies. The barkeeper will be holding court along with my Uncle Mike and all the barroom gang. And that is Bears State of Affairs.
Jesus Christ, Aldo.
That was awesome, Tooch. This guy can write, man. He should be like the Hemingway of the barroom.
Or as I compare him to A. Whitney Brown from SNL.
Exactly. I try to A. Whitney Brown my way through it every week, Aldo.
Really well done, man. How long did that take to write?
A couple days, I think. Usually I'm like, writing and rewriting and stuff, and the news comes up, and you got to like alter some stuff. But I try to give, like the whole perspective of, the spinning, the wheels are spinning this week, man. It's like a roller coaster ride. You lose Robert Quinn, you lose Roquan Smith, you get Chase Claypool, who a lot of people wanted. In fact, although you loved him before the draft, you were like, let's get a guy like Chase Claypool in here. Have you seen this guy?
Ah, exactly.
So yeah. Yep.
The Dallas game feels like it was more than a week ago, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly,
You're
Danny.
so right about that. It is nice when you make a player acquisition move that most fans, I think, are in agreement. It's a good move. And it makes you forget the fact that we got our asses kicked on in Dallas.
I got to tell you, there was a time that was actually the game I had a 5-unit play that I was really confident in, so offered on Twitter, and it was basically we had 3 double-digit favorites in the NFL at home on a Sunday. So a 3-team money line parlay with those favorites paid about -120, which isn't bad. To throw 5 units on it, you're going to make some money if all 3 teams win. The one that I sweated the most was the Bears, because Dallas didn't have an answer for Fields, man. He was making plays, a couple boneheaded turnover plays, and something the Cowboys were able to. All they had to do was win, these 3 teams. The Eagles I wasn't worried about, and the Bills I probably figured would clip the Packers out too, But the one game that had me worried a little bit was the Bears, who I thought could possibly maybe steal it in Dallas, even with giving up.
When it was 28-23, I thought the Bears were going to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, me too, Dan. Me too.
Yeah, I did too. It was the one that made me sweat the most of those 3 plays.
Yeah. All right, guys, it's my turn to take a break.
Yeah.
Can I trust you guys not to bore the audience?
No, I got a couple. I got some stuff I can throw up here. I got this.
All right, I'm not leaving. Oh, look at this.
You got an NFL state of Halloween. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I got a Vikings. I got a tight end. The Bears. I got a receiver. Aaron Rodgers. I got a rock. So,
isn't it hard to believe that Detroit would trade their tight end within the division?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing. It's crazy. I mean, look, Hawkinson went to Iowa. It was a stud at Iowa. Followed George Kittle, and I would have liked to have seen him on the Bears. I also wanted George Kittle on the Bears too, but I forget. I think we drafted Adam Shaheen that year.
Oh, great, lovely.
We
from
could have
Ashland College.
Yeah, what? Where? But yeah.
Exactly.
And then the Lions, I mean, it's kind of taboo to trade within, the division to, a team who trades.
The only other one I can think of is Donovan McNabb from Philly to Washington.
Yeah. I mean, Cliff, who trades a key player in the division? Only the Lions, Bears would never trade, a key player to the Packers or, Vikings. So, I mean, the Bears are 3-5. I want to ask you, Dan, let's say the Bears beat the Cowboys on Sunday, and instead of being 3-5, we're 4-4. Do you think Roquan Smith gets traded?
I don't know, but the thing we were talking about last night on Bears Country Podcast, I'll throw it as a question to you. I don't mean to answer your question with a question, but
yeah.
Do you think that after his press conference where he kind of broke down, that Poles watched him on the field because he didn't have his best, it wasn't his finest hour against Dallas, he being Roquan. Do you think that Poles was like, fuck, this guy's checked out, man, I'm trading him, fuck it. He's not trying hard today, fuck it, I'm moving on from him. Maybe that was the case.
It's a good point. I mean, Aldo, I'll ask Aldo the question. If the Bears are 4-4, does Roquan Smith get traded?
I thought that he would not. Then I listened to Ryan Poles, and it was clear that he would have. I think that the situation is he was pissed off that they weren't making any headway at all with the contract. I think when those contract negotiations ended at just prior to the season, I thought his mind was made up. If I get a good offer before the trade deadline, Roquan is gone. I'm going to keep him.
Do you think, Aldo, there's a possibility that Poles watched the game and, like I was saying, Roquan, it wasn't his finest hour in Arlington, Texas on Sunday. Wasn't his best game, and that's being kind. So do you think maybe Poles saw it and was like, man, this guy's he's fucking quit. I'm trading him.
I don't think so. I think that it confirmed his suspicions about Roquan. And I'm going to do something that I really shouldn't do, and I would not do if I was a paid professional journalist. But since we're here fucking around, having a drink and bullshitting and so forth, I wonder that when Ryan Poles got the job at Hallis Hall and started getting all the dirty laundry about all the players on the roster, that there were some things on Roquan's laundry list that he felt, we saw the video of him with porn stars. The thing in his car, the playbook and stuff. And,
and missing the game against Minnesota inexplicably.
Exactly. Yep. So I wonder if he decided to say, well, the guy can fucking play, but, should I give him 60, 70, 80 guaranteed dollars for a guy who may not be as dependable? I think that had a lot to do with it. Now, again, this is pure speculation on my part. I'm not pretending to be a journalist in this instance. And so I just wonder, what do you guys think?
I'll give you more speculation. Do you think, because a lot of people said that Brandon Marshall kind of ran his way out of town based upon things off the field, and I loved Brandon Marshall. But maybe that's, like you're saying, maybe that's the same thing. Roquan, it comes across because of all of these things combined, is somewhat abrasive, and they just don't want to deal with him. And I hate to say that about Brandon, because I love Brandon Marshall's probably still the best wide receiver the Bears ever had, for the 3 years that he was here. So I'm not trying to badmouth him. It has nothing to do with his mental acuity or anything. But I'm just saying, maybe the alleged way that Brandon made people feel, allegedly, maybe that's the same thing that could be said for Roquan here.
Yeah. What do you think?
He just alienates them,
Yeah.
Well, one of my favorite things to say is Roquan doing Roquan things, and after a while, that probably got a little old for someone like Ryan Poles, who's trying to build a team for the future rather than, have loyalty to players he didn't draft, because he offered him what he probably felt was a pretty damn good contract, and I mean, let's face it, Roquan didn't like his rookie contract,
Which he negotiated, by the way. Which he negotiated.
Right.
I think his mom was helping him back then. Then finally he became his own agent, recently. And, then Robert Quinn was probably, hey, this is the NFL, it's a business, you got to hold out for all you can. And he held out and then he didn't get anything, kind of checked out. He missed all of training camp. He was just kind of there, taking mental reps, right? During training camp, and it's a whole new defense. Eberflus installed, different than the 3-4 leftover Vic Fangio, Sean Desai defense, and never fully caught on. Maybe it doesn't really fit the system that Eberflus wants. And if you think Eberflus didn't know this was coming, I don't know what to tell you. I'm pretty sure he was probably in on it. No doubt.
Well, you know what's weird, Tooch? It's funny that you say that, because the last 2 or 3 press conferences, I noticed something about Eberflus, his composure, just the way he looked. It felt like, he just walked away from Ryan Poles, say, yeah, we're working on a deal for Roquan, so be careful what you say. And then he would sit down and do the interview. It's almost like he was concealing something, or he was like, I don't know. There was something about his comportment that that hinted to me something's going on here. And of course, two major trades. Hey guys, go ahead,
didn't we talk about this last week about the players that we could trade and where the value was? It was Robert Quinn and Roquan Smith. The other one was Eddie Jackson, who they decided not to trade. But
which I'm glad.
2 out of 3. We got 2 out of 3 in our little from our list.
Yep, indeed.
Eddie's the leader of the defense now.
Eddie is the leader of the defense, right? He's definitely the leader of those defensive backs. I put up on Twitter, you don't trade Eddie Jackson now because it will harm the development of Jaquan Brisker and even Kyler Gordon, because Eddie is the quarterback of that defensive backfield. He puts people in their places. He knows that playbook. He's the veteran. He's a smart player. Yeah, he's not going to win any tackling titles, but the guy is smart and stuff, and to trade him would be ridiculous. And then somebody wrote back, well, everybody is tradable. Yeah, everybody is tradable, but if you do that, that's just stupid, in my opinion.
Well, maybe making Eddie the captain now adds more responsibility to his day-to-day attitude on the field and stuff, and as a way of holding him more accountable as well.
Totally agree. All right. Hey guys, I want to make sure I get this in, and I see that Zach Sullivan is in the chat room. Zach has been a long-time supporter and friend here at the bar room. I don't know where the fuck he lives. He lives somewhere
Vegas area. Lives in Las Vegas.
I think further north. I think he lives I picture like Montana or someplace like that, South Dakota. Zach, if you're still there.
Mountain.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm kidding, Zach.
Exactly.
He's in Tennessee now. Okay, he said.
Tennessee. Okay, so I had the wrong part of the country, Zach. Sorry. So back in late September, Zach sends me a video of a promo he did for the bar room. And so in my crazy disorganization and in busy schedule, I saw it and I said, oh wow, this is cool. And by the way, I didn't have his name logged into my phone, so it was sent by somebody with a Tennessee area code. I didn't know who it was, and so I responded, hey, this is pretty cool. So the other day I'm looking for some material, and then I found it again and I played it again. I go, this is fucking priceless. This is so good. He put together this promo. And then I realized, this is fucking Zach Sullivan. This is my Zach who sent me a clock, the Godfather.
Yeah, that's
clock.
right. The woodworking. Yeah.
That's right. It's Zach. He's my long lost Zach. So I made a couple of little changes, and Dan Aguirre, I apologize to you because when I showed it to you, you had a suggestion for something at the end. Let's not give it away, but you had a suggestion for something at the end that would have been better, but I didn't have time, or I forgot again in my fucked up marijuana-induced disorganization. I forgot to do it, so I'm gonna play it as is on this first cut, and maybe over the next few weeks we'll play it again. Zach has agreed to come on this show, and then so we'll show some of his outtakes too, which are hilarious.
Nice.
And we'll have some more fun with this. But this is the first iteration, or maybe iteration number 2, of Zach's promo for the Barroom Network.
Ladies and gentlemen of the barroom, I'm just a bear caveman. I was trapped in a bear cave during a terrible ice storm, was buried in an avalanche and frozen for thousands of years. Then some of your scientists came along and unthawed me. Now I made a new dwelling in my modern-day bear cave. I've grown to have great passion for the Chicago Bears of the National Football League, but I struggle to better understand this game that bewilders and confuses me. Sometimes when I'm stuck in traffic and I hear podcasters talk about 3 technique or zone running schemes, I want to jump out of my BMW and run off into the hills. When the national pundits write that the Chicago Bears will only win 2 or 3 games this season, I wonder, did little demons get inside the machines and type that? I don't know. But what I do know is that if you're looking for first-rate content on the Chicago Bears, look no further than the Barroom Radio Network. Where else can you find guys like Greg Gabriel, a man notorious for getting thrown out of Chicago Bears training facilities by potential Hall of Famers?
And I go.
Or John Buffone, a guy that reminds me of my kind. He's the kind of guy I want to get together with and throw animals onto a fire, or carve object from stone using other stones.
Why not?
Or Mike North.
I know there's not supposed to be different rules for different people, but there are different rules for guys that are goats. Goats.
Or the Emmy Award-winning Aldo Gandia, who is as wise and charismatic as the greatest elders of my time.
So then you take your dick and you wrap it in bacon. And then...
Or even Dan Aguirre, whose commentary is as disgusting today as it was in my time.
Aldo, what do you do when you ever have a rash on your fucking cock? I mean, they're just like little red dots. I don't think it's an STD, but it's a little bit itchy.
So settle into your barricades. Pour yourself a bourbon. Put on the Barroom Radio Network. And let's all send a toast to that hedgehog we all call the Tooch. I know I will, and I hope to see you there. Bear down!
I think I'm gonna buy some ad time like late at night.
That was really good, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy some ad time like late at night on like Comcast Sports. You know, when they're showing videos, half-hour videos on how to cook bread or frying pans and shit like that. I'm gonna buy a 2-minute time slot and put that piece in there because it's so good. It's so fucking funny. Great job, Zach Sullivan. And I apologize, Dan Aguirre. You had a great idea. He wanted to just, as opposed to having you swing in the shot for me to cut to that famous shot of you.
Exactly.
I don't remember doing that many nudes.
That is just so funny. Great job, Zach Sullivan. And whenever you're ready to come on the show, he had some stuff going on at home, so he couldn't make it tonight. But whenever you are available, come on here and just talk football and have some laughs with us. It'll be a freaking fun time. And I apologize. It's Tennessee. It's not Montana.
I thought it was Vegas. I think he used to live in Vegas. Was that?
No, wasn't that the art appraiser from Pawn Stars who lived in Vegas? I don't think Zach lived in Vegas, although he did move to Tennessee a couple of years ago.
I think he was in Vegas before that.
Whatever happened to West Coast Phil?
Well, like half the people in my life, I got into an argument with West Coast Phil, and I told him to
You
go
too?
fuck
You were?
It's East Coast Phil and West Coast Phil I've had fights with.
Yeah.
I got mad at West Coast Phil because Neil Stopchinski and Danny Shimon were doing a draft on tap, and they had some technical difficulties, and he went on in the chat room and talked about how unprofessional it was. I work over for the Pac-10 network, and we would never. Yeah, you work for a fucking network that has $1 million budget, you know, or millions of dollars of budget. And this is, you know, to go in the chat room and one of your good friends, Danny Shimon, and shit on him for technical issues that were beyond his control, you know, Wi-Fi issues and stuff, I thought was really low. And so I told him about it, and we got into a tiff. And so that's the end of West Coast Phil and my relationship.
Gotcha.
I've had so many divorces in my life. That is wild. All right, guys. I wanted to get some thoughts from Mr. Johnny Santucci beyond your Bear state of affairs. Anything else regarding the recent moves by Ryan Post that really stick out, and maybe we can talk about the three of us. Are you satisfied with these moves, these trade, or would you have liked to have seen more? Would you have liked to have seen, you know, Riley Reif moved for a mid or late draft pick? Would you have liked to have seen David Montgomery traded? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go pulling, you know, offensive linemen out of the bad offensive linemen that we have, bad offensive line that we have already. I mean, that
probably not a good idea.
A little beyond the pale for me with the offensive line, but you know, I mean, once you brought in Riley Reif and Schofield, the veterans, I mean, the offensive line actually was, you know, okay. It's still Sam Mustipher is still a little problem. I saw an article today that asked, what can we get for Sam Mustipher? I had to laugh. It's like maybe we could turn an undrafted free agent into a draft pick. It's like,
I don't think Notre Dame would want him back.
But I can't say I'm all that surprised, Aldo, because I think the past 2 weeks you and I have talked about who they might trade away, So,
right.
I mean, I couldn't help but think, if the Bears had been 4-4, maybe some of these guys wouldn't have been traded. But the offensive, the thing that struck me the most about the Cowboys game was that the Dallas defense did not really have an answer for Justin Fields making plays with his legs. Man, I tell you, because like I said, when it got to be like 23-28, like Dan said, I thought the Bears might have a chance to steal it, Just like I underestimated the team. They went into Foxborough, beat up on the Patriots, and that was the same thing. They didn't have an answer for Justin Fields rushing, And then the second thought after that was basically that, man, if this kid puts it all together, you're going to be defense are going to have a real problem, game planning for Justin Fields. And that made me really, really excited for the future. I mean, we kind of all knew that in all likelihood, this would be a season where Justin Fields would be learning, and we probably wouldn't do that well. And that, they might trade away some pieces and make salary cap space. I think it'd really go hard at it next year.
What do you think, Dan?
I don't want to give up on the season. I just don't, man. How many more times can we just say, "Oh, well, wait till next year"? Like we've been saying that for 30 years now. I mean,
see, but I think we've always said that in the past, under different circumstances. This year, it is clear that it's a rebuild. It's freaking clear. There's no doubt about it. He's been hoarding cash up for next season. He's been hoarding draft picks for next season. He purposely signed a lot of players to one-year contracts on tryout deals and so forth. So it as painful as it is to say, this is a rebuild season and we shouldn't have high expectations of 10, 11 wins. Now, is this going to work? I don't know. He's really got to hit on his draft picks. He's really got to hit on his free agent signings. But to me, this is something that should have been done years ago. It should have been done by Ryan Pace. It should have been done by Phil Emery, as opposed to coming into a situation and then putting Band-Aids on what you inherited. What's his name was right. Chris Ballard, who is the GM with the Indianapolis Colts. He was basically offered the job, according to some reports, but he said, we're going to trade Cutler. That's the first thing we have to do. And management said no, because they would eat a lot of that cash. They said no, and so we lost out on Ballard, who probably would have had this team in a couple of playoffs by now if he would have been allowed to do things his way.
I don't know about that. I mean, look at their quarterback position since Andrew Luck retired.
Well, but that's the kind of phenomenon that really fucked him, right? He took that job and he didn't expect Andrew Luck to retire, and they had some good records, and so they were unable to draft some of the top quarterbacks coming out, unable to land some quality veteran quarterbacks. They took a shot at Carson Wentz. They took a shot at the former Falcon guy, Matt Ryan. So I almost
Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, exactly.
Phil Rivers last year.
I can excuse
2 years ago, right? Yeah.
Those fuck ups. Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago, then Wentz, then Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
And they benched Matt Ryan, so it's like I don't know if Ballard's that good of a GM, honestly.
But you look at the rest of the team that he's built together, Dan. I mean, they have a 3-tech there that would be outstanding for the Bears.
Matt Nagy lost 2 wild card games. I mean, that's what he's done. He's lost a wild card game.
I'm not sure how that fits into what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, winning means how you judge someone is through their winning. And they lost a wild card game in Buffalo 2 years ago with Rivers. I mean, even Matt Nagy lost 2 wild card games, and I just what has he done in Buffalo is what I'm saying. Andrew Luck took him to the AFC title game in I think 14, and since then they've done literally nothing.
Well, they have competed for division titles, but I agree with you. But I tend to think that this is more of bad luck than him being a bad GM. But I could be wrong.
It's hard to win consistently in the NFL when you can't solve the quarterback problem, and Indianapolis has had that problem 3 years in a row.
Yep. I mean, you gotta feel for the guy. It's the last fucking preseason game of the season, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the game, word leaks out that this guy's retiring. We were doing a show.
I was listening live. I'll take credit. Maybe this makes you seem like an asshole.
That's right.
I text Draft Dr. Phil and told him that it was happening, and he said it on air and did not give me attribution. But it was my story.
I was in Tennessee when Andrew Luck retired. I had just drafted him in fantasy football to be a backup, and then he retired like an hour later. So and then they had to go with Jacoby Brissett right after that. So they've had like 5 straight years of quarterback issues in Indianapolis. 4 or 5 straight years. But they and the offensive line was highly rated, right, with Quentin Nelson and company, and this year not playing as well. There's been some atrophy on the Colts offensive line. So they've had an issue. Most of the problems come from not being able to solve the quarterback problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it is torn. I just put up on the screen a bunch of comments regarding Ballard, and so it's a situation. I'm sure the people in Indianapolis want him gone because, just like all sports fans, their patience is run thin. But I still believe that the guy has a quality football mind, but he's just had a run of bad luck. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's goofed up too many things. Certainly, as Chubb says, trading a first-round draft pick for Carson Wentz, that's not too fucking bright.
Do you have you have the MILF conference room set up for Chubbs?
That's right, Chubbs. You better be there. I gotta meet you, man. If you don't know what we're talking about, we're going to all be meeting at King's Entertainment, 505 Park Place in Rosemont from 2 to 4. Yep. It's free parking. All you got to do is get your ticket validated. It's a huge fucking parking lot right beside the establishment. It's basically an entertainment center with lots of cool restaurants and stuff. It's very, very cool.
Really nice over there. Yep.
Yeah. And so the parking is free. Just make sure you bring in your ticket when you get it from the machine when you park in the lot, and you'll get it validated. And that's that. So be there, Chubbs. Don't fuck us up. We'll come and get you, man. Fucking Dan, you bringing any of your weapons with you from West Virginia?
I have no weapons.
Is any of the barflies in the chat room going to be there on Saturday?
Yeah, let us know. It's this Saturday, Chubbs. Saturday, November 5th.
Yeah, look at the scrolling banner down below.
Meet Dan Aguirre, Mike North, Danny Shimon, John Buffone, Vinny Parisi, Frankie Mueller, Neil Stopchinski, Nasli Briones. Oh, that's got his attention. Nasli Briones.
Nasli's there. I'll be there early.
Danny Santucci, who I forgot to put on the initial list.
Yeah, I'll sign that 8x10 glossy for you, Chubbs.
Mr. Shorty, I didn't have him on the list.
Yeah, the other day.
Oh God, I have to edit this again.
Yes, you do. Mr. Shorty will be there. Lots of fine women. That'll get Chubbs going.
Yeah.
Saturday, man. All right, guys, we got 15 minutes or so before Dan's got to take off. You guys want to talk anything about movies or anything on your mind that you want to share?
I saw one. I'm wondering if Dan Aguirre saw it. It just came out on HBO Max called Barbarian. Does he know this movie? It's a great Halloween movie. I watched it last night for Halloween. I gotta say it was genuinely pretty scary. I haven't been scared in a movie in quite a long time, but this had a little scare to it, Danny. I think you might enjoy it. some hot chick, I don't know her name, and one of the Skarsgård kids, the scions of Stellan Skarsgård, and Justin Long, who used to do the Apple iPhone.
I remember Justin Long. Yeah.
Those three.
I'll check it out. I'll check it out.
It's very well done, man, and it's Aldo, you'd like it too. Watch it with your wife if she likes scary movies.
Yes, she does.
Called Barbarian. Yep.
Barbarian. I've not heard of it. So who's
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Who's is there a name?
I don't know who the chick is, but she's really hot. She looks like a Halle Berry type look.
Oh,
yeah.
Barbarian.
And the basic story is this: she is driving in a rainstorm. She has got an Airbnb somewhere around Detroit, and shows up there, can't see anything, and there's a dude in there already. There's no key, He's like, oh, but they double booked it. He's like, why don't you stay here for the night? And then, the bunch of bad things start to happen after that. I don't want to give any of it away, but
oh, give it away. Who cares?
yeah, it's actually very good, man. Stephen Neal probably hate it though.
Here's the preview. The young lady is coming into the house. She's she can't get in. Oh, we got
right.
And then this spooky. Oh wow, she's adorable.
Yeah, she's super hot, super cute, man.
I must see this movie.
Yeah, and that's one of the Skarsgård kids.
Wow, he looks like a Skarsgård.
Yeah. And I thought he'd have some like really cool Swedish name, but his name's actually just Bill. Go figure, I was like, he's one of those Skarsgård kids, right? I don't remember his first name. And then I was like, it's fucking Bill.
Is there a lot of talking in this movie? Because we're about halfway through the trailer and nobody's.
I don't know. Maybe the sound is unavailable.
Well, I can pump up the sound, but I want to see somebody jump.
Yeah,
it's a horror movie.
It's good. So, she thinks this guy might be a weirdo.
I'll take your word for it.
It's like raining super hard out there, and he's like, "Why don't you just stay here? We'll split the Airbnb, then we'll both get our money back tomorrow because they double booked us." And then a bunch of terrible things happen after that. But you'll have to see it. Danny would really like it. Danny likes these kind of scary movies,
You saw a horror movie recently, Dan, that you told me was pretty good. What was that again?
I remember telling you one that I thought was horrible.
Yeah, that's right. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, it was on Turner Classic, and I watched it called The Haunting of Julia.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it had Mia Farrow in it. It was one of the worst films I've ever seen in my entire life. It was dreadful. I was like, don't spend 2 minutes watching this fucking shit. I watched an old film for a Halloween with Robert Forster in it called Alligator.
Oh,
the killer alligator. That one was okay, but then I started watching Alligator 2, The Mutation, and that one was looked like we could have filmed it here tonight live in 3 different locations, and it would have been better.
Yeah.
The start of Alligator 2. Alligator was okay. Again, I like Robert Forster. Let's see. I saw that John Hamm's version of Fletch.
Yeah, what'd you think?
Yeah, I saw a
Chasing Fletch or Confess Fletch. I like John Hamm, so I enjoyed it, but the plot was really convoluted, I thought, and sort of hard to follow, and didn't make a whole lot of sense on character motivations and stuff. All in all, I enjoyed the movie. There were numerous things that made me laugh, but at times I felt like John Hamm was doing a Chevy impression with the way he, the humor came across, for sure. But maybe that's the character, and maybe that's why Chevy did it the same way. But all in all, it was average, but I did enjoy my 2 hours watching it. I don't know if this is true. One of the things that came out of it, no pun intended. Well, maybe it is a pun intended. They said that pigs have the longest orgasms of any mammal.
Wow, man, that's why I fucking keep a messy environment around me. Is Alligator the movie where this chick flushes an alligator down the toilet?
Her dad does. Flushes her pet alligator down, and they're doing some kind of testing on cats and dogs. I think it was dogs now I think about it, trying to exacerbate human growth or animal growth. And so the alligator was eating these pets that were full of this fucking mutation gene, and it caused it to keep rapidly mutating itself. So it was so massively big. And interestingly, the guy that would later play Jason in Friday the 13th, 7, 8, Jason Goes to Hell, Jason versus Freddy, all this. His name's Kane Hodder, I think is how you say it. He was the guy in the alligator suit. Alligator in 1980.
You did a little research on this movie. 1980 was when it came out, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was okay. Like I said, it wasn't great. It's on Turner Classic Movies right now.
Did Dan see that X movie that Aldo was talking about? X. It's like the porno horror movie.
Yeah. I saw that where they were filming the porno movie in that shed. Yeah, I enjoyed that. Okay, I guess it was all right.
Yeah, it's a good 90-minute, 100-minute movie.
How the one wanted to fuck and the boyfriend was all salty about it. I guess that was good writing. That's the way the guy would be, I think.
Yeah. Nomad pooped out an alligator.
That's what I saw that. I was like, man, Nomad, don't come Saturday.
Nomad, you better be there Saturday.
I saw a strange Australian film too on Turner Classic called The Plumber, where all these bad things are happening to this poor woman because of the plumber. I mean, again, it's like an hour and 20 minutes, but you would just have to see it. I mean, there's no way to describe it. The plumber is just creating if you had a plumber that was just destroying your bathroom, I mean, anyone could relate to this.
Chubbs, you're not going to get any MILFs with comments like that.
He's right. The one at the beginning of Jason Goes to Hell that was naked in the beginning. Look, this is too much, but you all always want sex stories. In the summer of 93 or 4, I used to beat off to that scene all the time. Rewind, stop, play, VHS tape. The girl naked at the beginning of Jason Goes to Hell. When I was 13, that was a scene that I beat off to all the time.
Wow.
She's
I
phenomenal.
haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's part 9. It sucks. The guy's like eating like hearts. And that's how Jason keeps going from one body to another. So it makes no sense. But the girl at the beginning, I agree with Chubbs, was fucking phenomenal.
Outstanding. Man,
that was a go-to jerk scene for me, for sure.
Yeah. You have any of those movies like that, Tooch, where back when you were younger and, a Hollywood theatrical film, you would say, wow, I need to jerk off. Let me pop on this thing.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
while he's pondering, I will say it. My whole life, I heard about 10. The Dudley Moore film.
Oh yeah,
I watched it so many years after. I mean, it was like 30 years old. I was so disappointed. Like I don't understand the sex of, maybe I just thought she was going to be naked. I thought it was going to be something incredible. It was just her with dreads on a beach in a bathing suit. I'm like, this is what made people like lose their shit. Yeah, Bo Derek. I just thought it was completely overrated.
I agree with you 110%. And any movie with Dudley Moore in it, I'm going to stay away from.
I like the first Arthur. Arthur was fucking funny. Like when he's drunk talking to Liza Minnelli and he's like, can we name our first child Vladimir if it's a boy or a girl? Like that shit's funny to me. It's rated R too. It's not like Arthur 2, which was like PG, and then the Russell Brand one was PG-13. That first Arthur, I like. Dudley Moore had a terrible death, by the way, diabetes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had a horrible, last 2 years of his life.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah, he had a horrible film with Eddie Murphy, too, called Best Defense. Just awful.
Yeah, Murphy went through a 10, 12-year span where everything he was in was just fucking atrocious.
This was like in between Beverly Hills Cop and like Golden Child.
Wow.
He did a film with Dudley Moore in 1984 called Best Defense, and it's just terrible.
Yeah. I got one supporter at least. Saint Omni agrees with me. Dudley Moore, no thank you. I'll take a pass.
Did you ever see Arthur, though? The very first one?
Yeah,
I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was great.
I saw it in the theater. It was funny. The script was funny. Dudley Moore does absolutely nothing for me. There are certain actors that I just wonder how the fuck could that guy get a leading role in a major Hollywood picture where they're trying to make millions of dollars back from the millions of dollars they invested in the films. And Dudley Moore is on that top 10 list. Another guy, I'm forgetting his name now. Now, he's gone on to have a pretty decent career with some HBO shows. But the guy who was what the fuck is his name? He was in he played the newscaster in that HBO show that was
Jeff Daniels.
Yes, Jeff Daniels. That's another guy. How the fuck can Jeff Daniels be a leading man in any major motion picture?
I don't know. He was great in terms of endearment.
He's a great actor. There's no doubt about it. But I just look at that face and I say, there's no fucking way.
Well, what about the one Wilson boy that's got the really bad nose? Luke or Owen, whichever one.
Yeah, you know what? The nose thing kind of works for that dude. I got a really good friend who's got a fucked up nose like that too, and women are always swarming all over him. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with my nose? So I don't know. I know this is
something that baffles me. Now I know this guy early in his career made good movies. It was in Schindler's List. But the guy that's in Taken and all those like fucking movies now. Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson is going to be doing Leslie Nielsen's character in a Naked Gun reboot. That made me want to vomit.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, Liam Neeson, like I said, he made a lot of serious films early in his career, but now that he's this like macho, like I'm coming to get you with my guns, like I just hate him as an actor now. I don't want to see anything with him in it now. He makes the same movie over and over and over and over.
Yep.
There's like a million of them too. Like he's in like 5 movies a year.
Yeah, I know.
Damn. I have a really short, funny clip from Arthur with Dudley Moore that I think is brilliant. Do you want to hear it?
Go ahead.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't drink because drinking affects your decision making. You may be right. I can't decide.
I thought Dudley Moore was great in that. I don't know what you don't like about it.
I just
that was him talking to his future father-in-law. You know, it's like he offers him a drink. His future father-in-law. He says, "I don't drink because it affects your decision making." He's like, "You may be right. I can't decide."
I got it.
He was oh, so great.
Tooch, go away and then come back because your microphone is staticky as hell.
Is it?
Would you,
all right?
Would you agree with that, Dan?
Yeah, I thought it was his Wi-Fi.
Yeah, it could be the Wi-Fi, but see what.
I'll tell you, it's not the same as meeting your future father-in-law and like offering him a drink. But Saturday, I went to this event that Jenny was working at. And literally just to hang out with her and just support her or whatever, you know, she was going to be busy. I knew I was just going to be there as just to tag along, you know, nothing spectacular, but it was this event that her employer was throwing on and stuff. So I get there and it's like, oh man, I'm so far away it's a significant road game for me. You know, like I have no idea where I'm at. I'm in the adjacent county, but I don't know where I'm at all. And it's really desolate. It's on a farm, you know, it's out. And so I'm like, man, where do I park? And I was like, hey, pardon me, sir. Is it okay for me to park here? I was like, I'm trying to find my fucking girlfriend, you know? It was her dad.
Oh,
God, I'd never met her father. That's how I met her dad. I was like, oh my God, sir, I wish I had a shirt and a tie on right now. What I really wanted to say was I wish I had a do-over right now, but that's how I met her dad, though. Like, oh shit.
That's hilarious. And by the way, for those of you people who are going to be at King's Entertainment, Dan is bringing Ginny along, right?
Yeah, let's hope. I believe so. She had a tough day today, which I won't elaborate on. It's in her personal life, so she didn't say anything like, "Well, I'm not coming now" or whatever. But she's had a really, really tough day. So hopefully she'll be able to let loose again. This weekend's her birthday coming up on Sunday as well.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for
so I'm hoping to show her the time of her proverbial time of her life, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Hopefully the Tooch is ready
with a Bears win on her birthday.
There you go. That would be important to her too, right?
I think it would.
Tooch, whenever you're ready to come back in, you do so. Okay. There you go.
Yeah. Is my mic still scratchy?
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Really?
Weird. Is it your computer or something?
I thought it was your Wi-Fi initially, but yeah, when you talk though, it kind of does sound like you're underwater or something.
Maybe you're over modulating. Let me see if I can lower the gain over here. Yeah, your gain is way up. Try now. Talk to
How's
me.
that? Is that better?
It is better.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, all right. Let's see. We got 5 minutes with Dan. Tooch, you got anything for Dan? Wait a minute. Go ahead.
I do have one thing I clipped. Let's see. This is the Bears' dead cap money. This graphic. Is it up there yet? Okay, there it is. Yeah. So I think this is next year or this year. I can't remember, but this is what.
No, this is this year's dead
right?
money. Yes.
Dead
So
cap.
Khalil Mack, $24 million. Robert Quinn, $11.7 million. Roquan, over $9 million.
Charles Leno's still on there. Stealing money.
God bless Charles Leno.
and Tariq. Poor Tariq.
By the way, Dan Aguirre was really upset with Charles Leno for taking a picture. What was it that he did?
For one, he took the Bears GSH, the Hallis off her sleeve and the stripes, and put it inside of his coat in a way to desecrate it, and then tore up that the teddy bear. It's like, dude, man, you wouldn't have that woman or fucking anything if the Bears hadn't drafted you. I mean, come on, man. Like, show some appreciation.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't see that, so I was arguing with you. I don't think it's a big deal, but I did not see that, so I'll try to take a look at it.
The Washington team, whatever the fuck they're called now, the Redskins is what I want to call them. The Commodores, whatever they are, they tweeted the Charles Leno video after the game, like from the team Twitter.
That's stupid.
I'm just like, man, like, show some appreciation. Like, you were drafted. Most of the other teams in the league didn't want you. The Bears took you in the 7th round.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, and they made you a wealthy man. So
they did.
Fuck, man. It pisses me off. Like, this guy could be selling us stereo equipment if the Bears hadn't drafted him. Or selling shit on eBay for some reason. You know what I mean? Fuck, man. This guy's so lucky, and it's because of the Bears. And he's got something to prove now.
I still like Charles Leno. He's my guy. Anyway, before you get out of here, Dan, I really, really need to know an answer from both of you guys on this question from Retro. He says, inquiring minds want to know, who do you, Dan, and Tooch rank on the Three Stooges? What's your ranking? Who's your favorite Stooge? And Dan Aguirre, I know.
I don't like the Three Stooges at all.
Question a little bit though, is this like the like Curly replacements, or are we including Mo and Larry in this?
Any of the Three Stooges, and I'm not surprised that Dan Aguirre was not a Stooge.
Wasn't Shemp first? I thought Curly replaced Shemp.
No, Curly was the first one. Shemp replaced Curly. Yes, Shemp replaced Curly, and then Joe replaced Shemp.
Wasn't there a Curly Joe as well?
Replaced Joe, yeah.
Yeah,
it was a Curly Joe too.
I forgot about it. Yeah.
I thought Shemp was first. Can we look that up? I really
was
thought
first before they made the movies or TV or movies, before they made the shorts. Shemp was the original, and then
that's why I thought Shemp was first.
They got the movie deal thingy, short films or whatever, and Curly was.
So Shemp was first. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Really?
Shemp was like Curly's older brother.
Oh wow! Didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought Shemp was
Mo, Curly, and Shemp were all brothers.
Yeah, that's right. How would you rank them? Any favorites?
I don't like the show at all.
Yeah, I grew up on the Stooges, man. Curly is my favorite, of course.
Just hearing that theme song in my head makes me unhappy.
Boop, 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 boop. Well, Retro now hates you. He was a big fan of yours, but he thinks you're a fucking idiot.
I'm sorry, man. I don't like the Three Stooges. For one, it feels like it was filmed 212 years ago, too.
That's part of why you don't like them, is that you don't like that old black and white look, right?
It just, the sound and everything is so old. I mean, and I've watched old movies on TCM that I can dig, things that are almost 100 years old now. But it just seems like the Three Stooges were cheap, too. Like, it's low budget. It's so low budget and so old, and just I hate the fucking smacking and shit constantly. I don't like that show, man. It's just, if you've seen one episode, you don't need to see any others.
Shemp looks like Ron DeSantis. Is no What about you, Tooch? You got a favorite?
Curly was the best. Then
Curly was the absolute best, of course.
Mo was great because he sold the role. He was
Oh
great
man,
at being like the bad guy leader kind of.
This made me think of Curb Your Enthusiasm. There's an episode where Larry walks into a door onto a deck, like a sliding glass door, and doesn't realize that it's closed and gets the shit knocked out of him. And whoever he was dating, what it was supposed to be like, I can't remember if it was the one that played. No, it was Lucy Liu was supposed to be his date. And from that moment on, Lucy Liu like looked down on him because like he was the buffoon that walked through the glass. So Leon was trying to make him like understand why. She's like, no. You're going to be the motherfucker that try to walk through glass. She's like, you might as well have a fucking, like you're mentally challenged to her now. And he's like, think about it. Anybody that acts like that, they never get any pussy. And he brought up Curly. He's like, that motherfucker's going like whoop, 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 and rolling on the floor. Never got any pussy. Never. It's so much funnier when Leon's doing it. But he said that Curly definitely never got any pussy with his getup, his little act.
Leon should have his own show. That character,
he's great.
That actor is fantastic.
But I think like they actually did get a lot of pussy. Like the rumors were that like the Three Stooges were getting laid all the time. But for comedy's sake, Leon was hilarious.
You're absolutely right. Right. He did. Any last words before you get out of here, Mr. Dan Aguirre?
Yeah, I do got to go. I've got 2 more nights at 911 to do before we come out there. So again, I'm looking forward to Friday coming out there. I don't know.
Driving or flying?
No. I'm flying. Aldo's supposed to pick me up at O'Hare.
Nice. Yeah.
Pick us up. I don't know what we're doing Friday night, but I hope it's fun. And then go ahead.
I might be there to pick you up.
Well, please be there. I gave the Smashing Pumpkins the 3rd ticket to Buffon. He accepted it, so he's got it.
Oh my gosh, what a drama that fucking thing was! I
didn't mean for it to be. I was just trying to give him a ticket. I mean,
No, you're such a nice guy.
But so I pulled it off StubHub and transferred it to John, and he accepted it. So
nice.
Yeah, we'll get to meet the other Dan. I'm excited to meet he and his better half as well. Mm-hmm. And seeing you all again, Tooch, seeing you again Saturday, and hopefully Mike North, and I hope Nomad. You mentioned. I hope people like that are there too.
Uncle Mike probably heard I was going to show up. Now he's not coming. Right?
Who's that?
Uncle Mike. He's like, Tooch's going to be there. No, I'm not coming.
No, he wants to meet you.
Okay.
I hope he is there. And then we got the concert Saturday night and the game Sunday. And my flight Monday is not till late afternoon, early evening. So I got time to do something else with you Monday, unless you want me gone. Like, get Dan out of here right now.
No, we'll definitely find something to do.
I'm in another show or anything like from your basement.
Sounds good, brother. I'm setting it all up. It's going to be outstanding.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, and for now, I got to go. So everyone be well, have a good night, and I can't wait to be in you all's presence later this week.
See you Saturday, buddy.
Yes, sir. I look forward to it.
All right.
He is Dan Aguirre. He's off to save some lives at his 911 job. I'll tell you one guy who was saving lives this weekend, and it's Johnny Santucci, red hot with his Saturday college football picks and Sunday NFL picks.
And Monday. Monday it was 21-4-2 run for me. 21-5-2. Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
How'd you do it?
Really just I researched the shit out of stuff, and I mixed in some props, a lot of props that hit, for NFL and basketball, and had some great college football picks on Saturday. Like I said, I did the Illini 3 ways. I played Illini -7.5. I played the under, and then I played the Nebraska team total under. And all 3 of those hits, that was like right in a row. Boom. And then Sunday killed it in the NFL, was 6-1-1. And yesterday was 6-1-1 on Monday night and 6-3-1 on Sunday.
Sweet.
Today I'm looking like the Flames just gave up 3 straight goals. It's like I'm winning 4-2 in the 3rd period. I'm like, I got this. Bam, 3 straight goals given up by the Calgary Flames. So that looks like a loss. We got about 4 minutes left. Looks like the Suns are winning.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, up by 14 in the third. So that should hit. Won the Ball State over Kent State. That was Ball State +7. They won by 7. And then lost the Bulls team total over 115. Thought with Zach LaVine coming back and no Ben Simmons and Kevin Durant no playing defense nets, But
failed to get the over.
Yeah, got to 108 and they beat up on the Nets though. And then I had 3-2 in Champions League soccer today. Not
nice.
Bad. Yeah. But I'm going to ask you if you saw the finale of Hot D yet.
I did indeed. And
yes.
I got to tell you.
You know the scene I'm talking about, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And they're just like sheer terror because, it's like, it's almost like Jaws,
Yes.
Oh my
and we're talking about, for people who don't know, House of Dragons. I finally caught the season finale, and Tooch had told me on last week's show that there was a really terrifying scene. And when it started to happen,
little kid riding the small tiny dragon, the other dragon was about 50 times bigger. It was like Jesus Christ. Yeah, it was awesome. Great. I mean, the finale was fantastic.
It really was very
really
well produced,
man.
The entire series was,
great.
very well done. And I got to tell you, what they learned from Game of Thrones with the animation for the dragons, they took it to a whole nother level on House of Dragons. And so if you really love that genre, and even if you don't, you should really give it a chance, because these stories that they share are universal stories. It's drama done in such a compelling way, and there are certain things that happen in this series that you can relate to, right, Tooch?
Yeah, I mean, Chubbs is like, you can't watch it, but like, it's a lot better done than Game of Thrones, man. It's like the plot lines are a lot tighter, man. It's like it's George R. Martin, but it's not Benioff and Weiss, who kind of
right. They've cut so much shit out from the books. I mean, they really streamlined the plot line, which reduces the budget, which they wanted to do. And they put some of that money into the special effects of the dragons. It's just really effing well done.
Yeah. And, when they were talking about, hey, send me to little kids were saying, send me, Mom, to go negotiate. I was like, oh shit, something bad's gonna fucking happen. Don't send the fucking kids, right? Yeah,
I know, that was hilarious.
I told my wife, I was like, oh fuck. So, why would you fucking send your kids? It's dangerous as fuck, but yeah.
You agree with St. Omni says Game of Thrones better than the House of Dragons?
It's
hard to pick. You got to pick a season.
Yeah, if you want to say the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, I'm with you, St. Omni. But like season 1 of Dragons was pretty much flawless. I mean, there's no downtime. It's so tight, man. It's if it were to end, I would say as a whole, if it ended in 1 season, I would say House of Dragons is better. But I mean, I think House of Dragons has a chance to ultimately be better. I guess that makes sense.
I think, it makes total sense. I was just going to agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
And I agree with St. Omni. I didn't particularly like when they changed the actors, and I know they had to, because they time span of 20 years, 15 years, and so forth.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
the young actress that played Rhaenyra, if I got the pronunciation correctly,
Princess Rhaenyra.
It would have been odd for her to play such an older character, but so that was kind of a bummer, St. Omni. But storyline, man, really good. And Chubbs is like, there's no way that House of Dragons could be better than Game of Thrones, but Chubbs, give it a shot. Really, 10 episodes. It's going to go by real fast. I think they'll hook you in, and then we'll talk after that. In fact, Chubbs, watch it before Saturday so we can talk about it on Saturday.
I mean, the Game of Thrones was awesome. I'm not going to lie, but I mean, the last season or few episodes just kind of like took it down a notch for me, just because I don't think the ending was done well, man. The last season sucked. You know,
Yeah, I agree.
It was
with
just
that.
kind of, what can we do to get this over with? You know, basically.
Yes. Yeah,
I mean,
we got bigger deals
yeah.
happening elsewhere. We got to get out of
Yeah.
here.
How about I know they had to get older with Rhaenyra, you know, and bring in an older actress. But when she was giving birth in the finale, acting was freaking incredible, dude.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But she was struggling with the birth, you know,
Yes.
the trouble she had with that birth, man. It was so realistic.
Yeah.
Acting was fantastic.
What's Bear Country saying here? I kept having to peek into bare their souls because I was watching the Peripheral.
Yeah.
I hear good things about the Peripheral.
The first 2 episodes are great and has one like scene I had to actually close my eyes. It was the first episode. But the 3rd episode I'm gonna have to watch again because I kind of wasn't paying enough attention to it, but like it so far.
Paying attention is important.
Yeah, because this is like the Westworld dudes, you know, and if you're not paying attention with these Westworld dudes, they're like Steve and me, you know. It's like if you're not fucking paying attention, you know, you gotta like brain turned on, you know, like Steve and me. I haven't seen him. He's not here tonight, you know.
Even it's not. He was here earlier. You know, it was funny that Stephen, me, and Mike North got into a little row.
Right. Yeah. No, I was watching that.
Oh, that's right.
Sunday morning. Yeah.
Sunday morning. Yes.
Yeah.
That was a blast. You know, Mike North is such a street fighter, man. He is so pure Chicago. Agree with him, disagree with him, hate his, you know, generation's take on stuff. It doesn't matter if you spend some time listening to him as a broadcaster. There's just I gotta believe that most people are just going to be fascinated with him as a speaker, as a guy who is just the epitome of 60s, 70s, 80s Chicago. Wouldn't you say, Tooch?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with Mike North on the radio. You know, I was whatever job I was working at the time, I would just be listening to the score. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
totally grew up with Mike.
Yep. By the way, Weekend Sports Betting Tips, which is hosted by Johnny Santucci. Who are the 2 other guys on the show with you?
My partner Anthony Inglese. He and I actually Anthony put me on his website, so part of the Pound Sports website, and selling more subscriptions now. You know, I was like,
yes,
congratulations! Just signed up a few clients today, so the last few clients, and nothing like having a great weekend right before the subscription runs out. You know?
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, we had a good week. I think this month I finished up 20 units on the month.
Excellent.
If you're betting $100, that would have been, you know, like $2,000 up for the month. Not bad.
That's the way you do it.
Yeah, I mean, that and then Sean Higgs, who is the host of his own. He does a show every day, man. It's crazy. The dude's insane. He's really funny, man. Sean's a great guy.
He's very talented.
He's old school. You know, fade the public. You know, home dogs. You know, makes his bets. You know, after Sunday night after the games are over, he bets for next week. You know, he's totally old school. But yeah, been doing it a long time. You know.
Yeah, I noticed. I remember him saying on one of the shows that he takes a look at those early lines. As soon as they come out, he tries to take advantage of what he thinks might fluctuate.
Yep.
I tried that, and I was on to.
He had the Bills minus 8.5 last week. Bills minus 8.5, and he texted me. He goes, "You got to get in on Bills minus 8.5." So I was like, "All right, I'll grab Bills minus 8.5 versus the Packers." Went all the way up to 10.5, and the Packers covered the spread. You know, they the Bills lost by the hook. So
I would love to.
Yeah,
love to be able to follow sports handicapping that closely and be that sure with some of the bets. Foster says, Aldo, you had a bunch of gangsters on that show. Names, Tooch. The Tooch is the resident mafioso. I don't know how many things we can put you in. Pornography, mafia, what else?
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's tough. I mean, today was tough putting the card together. I mean, if I didn't have Champions League soccer today, I would have struggled to put a card together. But the Flames give it up in the fourth period. 3 straight goals, damn, to sink me 5-4. They've dominated the Kraken over last season, but yeah. And then it looks like I'm going to get the Suns today, so I think I'll be 5-4 today.
That's not bad. You're
yeah,
you're
we'll
over it.
We finished over.
Are you
500.
Sicilian? The St. Omni wants to know if you're Sicilian.
No. Nope. Let's see. My mom's from northern Italy, like almost to the border of Switzerland, and my dad is from the central Italy in Abruzzi, very small town.
Yeah.
My mom grew up in the Lake Country.
Amalfi Coast?
No, it was the lakes, like Lake Como. Like George Clooney has place.
Oh.
My mom grew up Lake Garda. Yeah, Lombardia. Yep.
Renewable says that Mike North strikes him as the type of Bridgeport, Jefferson Park, Edison Park kind of guy. It's so true.
Yeah. Yeah,
He did
I
grow
used
up
to live
in
in that
that
area, Jefferson Park, Edison Park. In fact, Mike North used to do a show at Boston Pasta in Edison Park. Don't know if you knew.
Did you ever go to any of those?
I went to one time. I didn't get close enough though to say hi to Uncle Mike though, but I did go.
That's
one time.
wild.
Boston Pasta. It was a great restaurant, man. It was. I remember one time I ordered what is that? Chicken parmigiana. Fucking the chicken breast was like as big as the plate.
Yeah.
It took me like 3 days to eat it. It was awesome.
That's right.
Huge portions, man.
That's right. You could definitely order one of those chicken parmesans, and it's good enough for the entire family.
Yeah, Edison Park. Edison Park is a great neighborhood, man. If I used to go up there to the bars, or some good bars to go to up there.
Bears Country Podcast.
No, I'm second generation. Or I guess I don't know. I guess first. My mom came here when she was 10. Does that make me first generation? Yeah, I guess so. But...
Yep, I would agree with that.
Yep.
All right, let's pull the plug on this episode
All
of Aldo Bear the Soulz with Johnny.
Can I ask you one last question before we pull the plug? The people in the back of their minds, Bears fans, are probably like, man, our defense. What's going to happen? I should ask Danny this too, but what do you think? Are we in for like 50 burger every week, or do you think the defense will pull together?
No, we're going to get blown out Sunday by the Miami Dolphins. I think that the defense will eventually start to get better, but I think that the earthquake aftershocks of these trades, Roquan and Robert Quinn, are going to continue on Sunday. That's my gut feel. But, you got to respect what the Dolphins have done with their passing attack and the talent they've gotten for Tua. I thought Tua was going to be a bust. I really did. I was never really impressed with him at Alabama coming out. I thought he probably should have been a second-round pick as opposed to a first-round pick. But they have done a really nice job. And that head coach over there, that nerdy guy, Mike McDaniel, I believe his name is, he's a very, very smart head coach and a very smart offensive play caller. And he's using those weapons well. And Tua looks really damn good. And St. Omni says Tua Hurts bust until this year. Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts, I really loved him coming out of Alabama. I thought he had a lot of potential, and so I'm really happy to see that he's meeting that potential this year. But it says a lot. I think, it's a great question, Tooch, because it makes me think that Ryan Poles is looking at what Tua and Jalen Hurts have done with these added weapons. And so he's got to be thinking, yeah, maybe I should help the kid out. I'll pray for Claypool.
And then, do you think they bought into Justin Fields? Because I mean, if you look back at that quarterback class that Justin Fields came out of, I would have to be hard pressed to say that he's not the best quarterback so far of all those ones that came out that year. I mean, I think we got the best one finally.
Yep. I think that the game is really, really now starting to slow down for Justin Fields, and he's getting a better and better grasp of the offense. Plus, he's getting rid of the ball quickly. Some of the mistakes that he had made early in the season, we didn't see those in Dallas. There was this one play where he literally threw the ball out of bounds after running around, and the week prior he didn't do that.
He wouldn't have done that. Yeah.
So those little things are really encouraging.
I think Retro's got it. This is kind of what I was going to say. And in fact, I was talking on right after the show, on Saturday, and was talking about how we might have to start playing Bears overs now instead of unders. With the amount of scoring, and I think Retro nails it.
Great point.
We may give up more, but we're going to score more.
Yes.
So and like I said, that I had Justin Fields rushing prop over again, although we talked about that last show. And let's see, what was the game? The Patriots, it was 42.5 yards. On Sunday against the Cowboys, his rushing was over 47, and they only raised it 5 yards and said, "Fuck you, I'm taking that."
Wow.
He had like 80 yards rushing again.
Yeah, that's wild.
We'll see what it is next week. There's no props out. I know you wanted to know if Chase Claypool had an over under, but there's no player props out yet.
Okay.
I'm not sure when they come out. Probably Thursday, I would say.
That would make sense.
Maybe
after the
tomorrow or Thursday. But yeah.
Let's take a close eye on that because we should. I'll be laying some bets. Well, on Saturday when I see you over at.
I think I'm going to have to do the weekend sports betting tips on Friday night just because I'll be on the road Saturday morning.
Oh, that's right.
I'm going to talk to. It's probably better for Anthony, anyways, and Sean. I'll ask him if he can do Friday night, and then we'll give out some college plays for Saturday when you're at Kings.
That'll be cool.
I finally won one. On the gave out a free play that won on Saturday. Yeah, it's like
that's a terrible thing. Here's a free play. It's a loser, by the way.
I lost. I think I lost the last three or whatever. But finally gave out. I think we had three winners last Saturday. Sean, Anthony, and myself all had three winners.
Love it. That's a good way to get a popular show, to be right on your predictions.
That helps. It certainly helps.
It does help.
Yeah.
All right. Saturday, 2 p.m. Barflies over at King's Entertainment, 5505 Park Place in beautiful Rosemont, Illinois. It's a really nice complex there. Bring the family, bring the kids. There's plenty of stuff for the kids to do, run around. They can bowl, they can play video games. They can just watch us adults have drinks. So it could, it should be a family affair, but also the opportunity to meet people like Johnny Santucci, who is.
I can't wait. Meet all the
video doesn't do him justice. He's much more handsome in person than he is on video. And thinner too, right?
No, a little bit fatter now. I'm almost 55 years old, so.
So how many the last time you and I saw each other was we had lunch at a weird place. Oh no, we were at Weber Grill. I think that's the last time we saw each other.
No, we went I came last year. We were at Miller's Pub.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Yep. Are you heavier now than you were?
Oh, probably, yeah. But I was like, I lost, like I got down, I was like nice and thin, and then ballooned back up. Just it's hard to, I've been trying no carbs, just eating like a lot of meat and cheese and, trying to keep, and it's hard for an Italian to give up carbs.
No shit,
it's like
man.
most of our diet, but
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So.
I'll go to Maggiano's restaurant and I'll eat like a loaf of their bread before the entrees. I just, man, I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's great. You can go, if you go to Maggiano's, you order one, they give you one to take home, like a frozen, like lasagna. Yes. I was order something, take home a lasagna frozen. You can have the next day. It's great. It's a great deal. You spend like $15 to get 2 meals. So
it is awesome. It really is. Yep. Well, I can't wait to see you this weekend, brother.
Yeah, can't wait. It's gonna be awesome.
Keep me informed on your schedule with weekend sports betting tips so I can promote it properly.
Is there anything else Friday night or?
Nope. Fridays are wide open, amigo. are all yours.
Probably I'm gonna talk to Anthony and Sean. Probably have to do Friday night. That way I can leave at like 5 a.m. and get there at noon. You know,
Mhm.
6 in the morning. Get there at noon.
There you go. And don't forget, tomorrow it is the Bar Down Hockey Talk at 2 p.m. Those guys are going to be talking a lot of football. Trust me.
I was on a show with my former.
What'd you think?
Yeah, I love Vinny. I mean, like I had to tell some Hanover Park Vinny Parisi stories. Like,
I love it.
Did you hear my story? My Vinny story?
Which one was it?
Well, I was coaching Hanover Park Little League, and Vinny was a year or two older than my son. And he was also from Hanover Park. He played Little League for Hanover Park Little League, and I coached there for quite a long time. And I was bringing my kids up to the park, and we had the game after Vinny's team. I walked up to the park, and someone had just hit a freaking long home run. I was like, "Who the fuck is that kid?" And it was Vinny. And my friend Dan, who was the president of the Little League, he said, "That's one of the Parisi brothers," you know. And I'm pretty sure it was Vinny Parisi. So, but yeah, he used to be able to hit the ball a long way. He was a home run hitter.
Well, and his brother looks like he could play some good ball too. I know he plays hockey.
Joey. Yep.
Yeah.
Joey Parisi. Yep.
Dan is sending me a text message. He's freaking out right now because Retro sent him a text message, and Retro is fucking with. Yeah, Retro, you're fucking with Dan and you're freaking him out. So this is what Retro sends to Dan. Consider me an enemy, just like John Buffon after your Three Stooges disparaging remarks. And so Dan writes back to Retro, Jesus. And then he writes to me, what the fuck? I can't believe this can be real. No, he's joking with you, Dan. Woo! West Virginia is a long way away from Jersey. He doesn't get this unseen. Oh man, I could talk to you all night, Tooch, but let's say
we'll talk on Saturday. Looking forward to it. Gonna drive in.
Drive safely, all right, brother?
Yep. All right.
All right, everybody, Barflies. Remember, 2 p.m. We'll be announcing it throughout the week here on the Barroom Network, and I'll start posting stuff on our social media channel. Get a chance to meet this guy right here. No, I'm not talking about Marilyn Manson. No, I'm not talking about that other dope behind him. I'm talking about Dan Aguirre. He will be there. And you get to meet this guy, the beautiful John Santucci.
Yeah.
He's gorgeous.
I'll try and put something on for that day.
There you go. And Mr. Luke Getzey, he will not be there.
Oh, yes.
We'll talk about him behind his back. All right, good night, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Dan and Aldo Bare Their Souls. Make sure you subscribe to the Barroom Network and you give us a rating on iTunes. Until next week, my name is Nomse. Bear down.